altogether. Thanks for joining us for 13 News Live at 10. I'm Dan Maries. Mary has the night off. Pima supervisors could soon decide they want Nanos out, but how likely is that to happen if they actually do take that step? 13 News reporter Sean Mahoney joining us live in studio now with the answer. Sean.
Yeah, well, Dan, that possibility all stems from one specific statute in the state's constitution, specifically the timeliness of Nanos' responses to the board's questions surrounding several matters, including his previous work history. Now, I spoke with Ward 2 Supervisor Matt Hines, who put those items on Tuesday's agenda to discuss. And he explains, while that is one possible action the board can take, how likely is it? Well, hear from him yourself.
That doesn't mean it's going to happen. Again, this would be the first time in Arizona history.
The possibility for the Board of Supervisors to remove Chris Nanos from his position stems from statute ARS 11-253A, where the board required Nanos to respond to questions surrounding his past.
We got responses, 22 pages unsworn. From the sheriff. That's what was submitted as of the deadline.
Now, the key word there is unsworn, as Hines said it was a requirement for those responses to be under oath. So that will be the first topic the board will address in their executive session Tuesday morning.
Number one, looking at the responses that Sheriff Nanos provided, do they comply with the requirement set forth in statute?
Now, because Hines believes the response doesn't meet those requirements, the board has the ability to vote in the evening public session to vacate the Pima County Sheriff's office. But that's just one possibility.
There are other things other than remove him or not remove him.
According to Hines, after the deadline, Nanos' lawyers submitted the notarized statement, which leads to another question.
Can we/should we accept that additional material?
And if they do decide to accept it in executive session, it creates another possible outcome.
If we do, then we have to decide, did he commit perjury? We may not have to decide it all like on the 12th.
As Hines mentions, a decision on recommendation of criminal charges can be discussed but may not be voted on Tuesday. Through all this, the board can also decide not to take action against Nanos at all, rather make a recommendation.
If we don't remove him from office, I suspect there will be a discussion of adopting a resolution, perhaps a strongly worded statement to encourage him to step down.
While Hines says he would like the board to take that action to remove Nanos, it may be a stretch for it to happen Tuesday.
We do have some oversight authority, but very limited ability to remove an independently elected official. I don't know that the board is there.
Now, we reached out to Sheriff Nanos' office for a response to this possible action being taken against him, and a PCSD official told us they will wait for any decision to be made before commenting on the matter.
So I've been checking out your YouTube channel, and you talk about these murder mysteries. Every other freaking word out your mouth is mofo this and mofo that. And so let me tell you something. Your facial expressions brighten up my mofo day. I am one of your most loyal and newest subscribers. You put a smile on my freaking face. Why I Killed You TV, keep up the good work. I love it. Love it. Love it. Guys, go ahead and make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe to this mofo right here. Kelly from Why I Killed You TV. All right, let's start this live right the freak now.
Those of you, this is your first time here, I am Kelly, K to the E double L-I-E, from Why I Killed You TV.
I mean, the person who we saw in the video from the front doorbell camera may not be the mastermind of this whole thing, may not be what these profilers call the puppet master. That person may have just been sort of an underling. That person in the video could be dead.
Hey guys, it's Jackson Buhai here with TMZ. Now, we have officially reached the 3-month mark since Nancy Guthrie's initial abduction, and today I've brought on a guest that has gotten as much boots on the ground experience, arguably, as the investigators themselves. Now, he is a senior...
Guys, Nancy Guthrie been missing for 3 months. She has been missing for 3 months, guys. It's weird. Guys, my contact information is here. My email, Venmo, and my Cash App is all right here, guys. Please make sure to go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe. Guys, this is very sad. And I tell you what, the longer that we wait, Joe Carr, I think that I could be jacking up your name all way around. Joe Carr, 1023. Thank you for getting on here and thank you for participating. I greatly appreciate it. Guys, she's been missing for about 3 months now. Okay. And I believe this is how, guys, the opinions I expressed in my videos are my opinions and my opinions alone. But guys, the longer that we wait, I'm not really sure we're going to find her ever alive. Now, I done said this in other videos. We are going to figure out who the hell did this. That's for damn sure. I'm just not sure when. Guys, go ahead and put it in the comments and let me know what you think. And push that notification button because guess what? That helps with the algorithm. So I would greatly appreciate that.
National correspondent for News Nation. He also runs the YouTube channel Brian Entin Investigates, and I would argue he is one of the main reasons that the Nancy Guthrie investigation is still making the rounds in mainstream headlines. So Brian Entin, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey Jackson, yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Now, starting off, I mean, you have had so much boots on the ground experience. You know, you've been all around Tucson. You've spoken to investigators that are actually involved with the case. You've spoken to people that knew Nancy Guthrie personally. You've spoken to a variety of experts. What's it been like covering a nationwide case such as this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of a wild 3 months. I got to Tucson the day after Nancy Guthrie disappeared, so February 2nd, and I stayed there for almost 2 full months, and just went to Nancy's house every day, went to the sheriff's office, just like, went to Mexico, just try to dig up anything that I could. And then I've been going back almost every week since then after I was there for the first 2 months. So it's kind of been a long haul, but I mean, you know how it is. It's like there's certain cases and stories you just can't shake. Like, I still don't understand how an 84-year-old woman just disappears from her bed in the middle of the night.
Let me tell you something, guys. I don't know why her ass was living out there in the middle of nowhere by her damn self. The square footage on that home was over 3,777 square feet, living out there by her damn self. Okay, Nest Cam, no subscription, nowhere to be found. Nancy got comfortable like a mofo. Because nothing to this magnitude had ever happened before. She got comfortable out there, guys. And I've said this before, guys. She was living, the whole neighborhood, not one damn street light, nowhere to be found. Okay? And the reason, and I'm saying allegedly, guys, my videos, guys, that I make are for educational purposes up in this camp. But the reason why I believe that this could have been possibly an inside job, guys, because her dog had died the month before. Now, I sat up here and said maybe somebody helped the dog die, whatever the case may be, but come to find out the dog had cancer. Okay, guys, I got to put my vent on here before my damn computer overheat. Anyway, guys, make a long story short, I thought somebody might have helped the dog die. And then the very next month, Nancy Guthrie disappears. She disappears, guys. That's weird. She gets kidnapped. Okay? But what I don't understand, I don't say this shit before. Gonna say it again. What I don't understand, if she was leaving a family function where her daughter, her oldest daughter, Annie, and then the son-in-law, Tommaso, brought her back to the house. They said it only took her 2 minutes to go in the garage, shut the door, whatever the case may be. They're thinking it's a great possibility that Nancy Guthrie left the back door unlocked. Okay, I could see that happening. Shit, I done that. I could see that happen. I live in a safe neighborhood. Yeah, I done this shit too. My whole thing in a nutshell, why hasn't Tommaso and Annie, who's the oldest daughter of Nancy Guthrie, why have they never got online and never said anything? Now, guys, I stay on YouTube. I ain't never seen no video like that. If you've seen a video like that, guys, go ahead, please. Go ahead, please put it in the comments and let me know. But this whole shit is weird. Those of you who do not know who Nancy Guthrie is, she is the celebrity mother to Savannah Guthrie from the damn Today Show. This shit is weird.
And so I've just tried to stay on it and keep working my sources and try to figure out, kind of what's going on.
You've been covering this case for the last 3 months and you've interviewed so many people. I'm wondering, is there an interview that stands out the most to you? Is there a guest that told you something that made you stop in your tracks and go, whoa, we should be taking a closer look at this?
Yeah, I mean, and we have this special coming up on the CW. I interviewed a source close to the investigation who I've gotten to know. and we interviewed, and we had to put in silhouette, so like, in a shadow, so you can't tell who they are, and change their voice, just because they could obviously get in trouble for speaking out to us. But that one really stands out just because the person explained issues with the investigation early on, how inexperienced the team was initially, and just some, mistakes that were made within the first couple of days. The fact that they were working off this theory initially that Nancy had just walked away, which really makes no sense. I mean, first of all, she couldn't walk very well because of her medical
Yes.
condition, and she didn't have Alzheimer's or anything like that.
She walked with a damn cane. Deanna in the house. It's about to go down. Deanna, you know what? I love me some Deanna. I love all y'all to come up here. But let me tell you something what happened the other day. Deanna, you a little late to the game, but I love it, honey. I don't give a damn how late you is. Anyway, guys, I just finished explaining, Deanna, that sometimes when I talk about a different topic, my views get loaded in a mofo. Deanna hung out with me the other day, guys, as I was trying to talk about this Tanner Horner case. But guys, we about to do this shit again. We about to do it again, okay? I got my favorite peeps up in here. Why I killed you, TV. I greatly appreciate it. My whole thing is, why in thy hell would somebody kidnap an 84-year-old lady in the middle of nowhere? Her gait was unsteady. She had a pacemaker. She was on a blood thinner, I am sure, because of the pacemaker. She was probably on a diuretic to keep all the swelling down. Okay, and then you had the nerve to contact TMZ with an apology letter saying there was a great possibility that Nancy was unalive, no longer with us. And you didn't think, and I'm paraphrasing like a mofo, you did not think that she was as sick as she was. She was 84 years old. Okay, so this is making me think that this is somebody young, probably somebody on the slow bus. Because why would you pick out her? Guys, Nancy Guthrie had the cheapest home in the whole damn neighborhood. Okay, why did you pick her? Okay, because the second she went missing, it was all going to be all on the news. But guess what your dumb ass did? You went and you contacted TMZ. So I am starting to think, did you really want the Bitcoin? Did you want the $1 million to $6 million Bitcoin, or you was on here for something else? I don't know. Did you want your 15 minutes of fame or whatever the case may be? Because there was other millionaires in the damn neighborhood you could have kidnapped. It's weird.
So that person explained to me that some time was wasted. So that's one that really stands out to me, just because to be able to talk to an insider like that was really interesting, especially considering, how long I've been covering the case.
And so I don't think anybody's asked you this question yet, and I've always wanted to ask you this because I've been watching your content for a while. What do you think happened?
I wish I had a good answer to that. I mean, with some of the other big cases I've covered, like Brian Koberger and many others, you'll sort of have this theory in the back of your mind that you don't really report because you don't have evidence, but you talk to your family and friends about it. With this case, I really don't know. I mean, it really is such a mystery.
It's sad.
For this special that I'm working on, I interviewed 3 of the top criminal profilers, including Dr. Ann Burgess, who the show Mindhunter is partially based on. And that opened my mind up to a lot of theories that I hadn't really thought about, like the fact that, the ransom just doesn't make a lot of sense. There was never any proof of life. There was never any real way for the family to communicate with the abductor.
Let me tell you about this proof of life. Okay, I do not blame the Guthrie family. And when I'm talking about Guthrie family, guys, I'm talking about Savannah, who's on the Today Show. I'm talking about her brother, I think, what's his name, Cameron? And I'm talking about the sister Annie. Okay, I'm not talking about Tommaso, who is the husband of Annie. I'm not including him. Okay, my whole thing in a nutshell, I don't blame him. Okay, if that was my mama, you gonna have to show me some proof of life. And I ain't talking about no damn still picture with my mother holding up a sign with today's date on. Nope, that's not gonna happen. Because guys, AI is a mofo. Okay, it is a mofo. You're gonna have to show me some video of my mother corresponding back to me, okay, appropriately, okay, before I ever give up some money. But I'm gonna say this, guys, and I said this before. Okay, the reason, write the shit down if you confused like a mofo. The reason why we do not have Nancy Guthrie back today, because guess what? Guess what? You guys set that reward too damn low. That's why we don't have her ass back today, okay? In the beginning, guys, there was some donations. I think the reward was set as low as $2,500, okay? Savannah Guthrie, who is on the Today Show, she's worth $40 million. So you mean to tell me that you would let somebody go out there and say, okay, the ransom is 25? Oh, hell to the no. I'm broke than a mofo. And I tell you this, I wouldn't let nobody go out there and say, oh, $2,500 to find my mama. No, no. Soon as I would have heard that, I'm like, hold on. Don't you go out there and say no shit like that. Okay. So it was initially, I believe, at 25, and then it went up to 50,000, then it went up to 100,000. These are all donations from people. Okay. And then it went up to, I think, 200,000. And then finally the Guthrie family stepped in. Okay. And they said, oh, hell to the no. It's up to $1 million. And when they got up to that $1 million, guys, all of a sudden, they got all kind of tips coming out of the damn woodwork. But the reason why, the reason why we don't have Nancy Guthrie back today is because of that low ass reward. I'm going to tell you that right now. That is the reason. Now, a lot of you going to say, well, the FBI told them not to set it at $1 million, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you something about the FBI. I'm sure they done this a time or two. Okay, I'm sure they done this a time or two. But when it come to my mama, I would have said, listen here. I'll listen to whatever you want me to say. When I get on here on YouTube, when I get on here on national television, whatever you want me to say, I'll say it. But when it come to that damn money, when it come to that reward money, that's when I got to put my damn foot down. Okay, Nancy Guthrie. Write this shit down, guys. Nancy Guthrie is not with us here with us today. It's because of that low ass reward that the family and the donations initially came out with. Okay. Now, guys, I have to say something about the family. The family also donated money for people in the same predicament. They donated to some kind of organization. If you're in the same predicament, if you're missing your family members, guys, I have to applaud them on that. Okay, because I don't think I would have the courage to do that, because every dime I had would have went to find out where my damn mama is. And I'm gonna tell you this, guys. Deanna, don't you make me take a like on myself. Anyway, I'm gonna tell you this, guys. I'm gonna tell you that that reward was set too low, especially when you are looking at people who want Bitcoin over $1 million or $6 million in Bitcoin. And you only going to set it at $2,600? I mean, $2,500. That is the reason Nancy is not with us today. That's the damn reason.
The fact that they, emailed TMZ, emailed you guys, emailed the media is really unusual, typically in a ransom situation. So I've been thinking a lot lately about whether the ransom, is sort of just cover for some other kind of motive behind the scenes.
Right. I mean, it seems like, at least judging by that Nest doorbell video, the person that conducted this crime was very calm. Seemed like they knew what they were doing. They knew their way around the house. What I'll also add is, I know you haven't seen the ransom notes, but we have. And it seems like this person is highly sophisticated. They knew what they were doing. And just by the way that they speak or they write in this ransom note, you can tell that this person is intelligent, and it was very clearly premeditated. Do you think that there's a possibility that the person that did this was someone that knew her intimately?
Yeah, so it seems statistically the chances are it's someone who knew Nancy, and whether they knew her intimately, I don't know. I mean, but knew her in some way, whether it's someone who had worked in her house, someone she bumped into at the grocery store, someone who had some kind of interaction with Nancy in the past. I also wonder, how many other people could be involved. And this is something else that I talked to these profilers about. I mean, the person who we saw in the video from the front doorbell camera may not be the mastermind of this whole thing, may not be what these profilers call the puppet master. That person may have just been sort of an underling.
Okay, guys, put it in the comments and let me know what you think. Okay, Nancy Guthrie, I think they said she was 5'4", 150 pounds. Okay, walk with a cane. Okay, they said the blood drops right outside her door was low velocity, meaning that she was probably close to the ground when whatever was bleeding started bleeding. I believe it was her nose that was bleeding, guys, because when you are on a blood thinner, guys, and I'm sure she was on a blood thinner because she had a pacemaker. Okay, guys, the tendency of your getting nosebleeds is going to be great, because guess what? When somebody stresses you, when they stress you out because they've been in your house for 40 minutes, Okay, you're going to get stressed the hell out. Your blood vessels in your nose are going to become engorged. And guys, I'm hoping they didn't physical with this lady. This lady was 84 freaking years old. Okay, so I am thinking this is what happened. And guys, they said for a fact that it was Nancy's DNA that was right there at the front door. Okay, my whole thing is how in the hell, through the cloud, how in the hell did they get who is that? Thank you so much. What's up? What's up? Auntie is in the house. Thank you so much. Anyway, how in the hell did y'all get through the cloud, the camera footage from those two fools at the front door? Now, guys, everybody is thinking it was like one fool at the front door messing with the Nest Cam. Okay, but I am starting to think it was two fools at the front door. Guys, if you ever watch Nancy Grace, you will see that it looks like it's two people at the front door. And I've said this time and time again, guys, there is no way in thy hell that I think that I don't think that the first person at the front door had ever been there before. But I believe that the second person that was there, he had been there before. I don't know if this person was the pool boy or the lawn guy or the postman or whatever the hell he was. He had been there before. Nobody is going on acres and acres of land in the middle of the dark, and they never been there before. You go up in her house, you smashing cameras and stealing old ladies, and you don't know how many cameras to smash. Okay? That shit don't sound right. And I'm gonna tell you something, guys. I'm gonna play the race card. That ain't no shit no black person do. I already knew, and guys, look at my videos. I already said no black person did this shit. Okay, because we don't do that. We don't go in the middle of the, first of all, we scared of the motherfucker at night. Okay, we don't go in the middle of the motherfucking night to somebody's house and steal an old lady. That's not what we do. And we ain't never been there before. We've had to have been there before. And then, guys, they had the nerve to say there was a great possibility that the goddamn guys, y'all made me use God's name in vain, damn it. But anyway, y'all had the nerve to sit up here and say that the getaway car was a damn Kia? Come on now, get over it.
They I interviewed Dr. Gary Bercato, who's a criminal profiler, and he used the analogy. Yeah, he used the analogy of like a chef and a waiter. Like the person we saw in the video may just be the waiter, but there may be a chef behind the scenes who's sort of calling the shots and is, you know, maybe the one who wrote the letters to TMZ, is sort of the mastermind behind the whole thing.
And, you know, since you have interviewed people that are involved with the case directly, how close do you think authorities are to making a breakthrough in this investigation?
I mean, unfortunately, based on the latest information I have, I don't think that they're terribly close. There's no suspect.
Sad.
They continue to work through leads and tips that have come in. I don't think it's a cold case because there's still a lot to be investigated and there's still a lot of tips that they haven't had a chance yet to go through. But I don't.
How in the hell, how in thy hell is this not a cold case? She's been missing for 3 freaking months. Now, I done said this before, guys. I believe they're going to catch who did this, but guys, it's going to take some time. It might be a year, might be 2 years, 5 years, it might be even 20 years. They're going to find out who the hell did this. But to me, this shit is cold. Okay, this is cold in the mofo, guys. Put it in the comments, guys, and let me know what you think about this. This, to me, it's cold. 3 months? And if we do ever figure out what happened to her, are we going to get her back alive? I don't know, guys.
Get the sense that they're especially close. I mean, I have hope that the DNA evidence will maybe pan out. You know, I reported there was this hair that was found inside the house that's now being tested at the FBI lab in Quantico. I'm told it's a rootless hair. So like, you know, when there's still like root attached to the hair, it's much easier to test and get DNA off the root. But when there's no root, like is the case I'm told with this hair, it's more complicated. It's kind of a newer science. And it takes more time. And there's less likely a chance that there is DNA on a rootless hair, although it's still possible. So I guess what I'm getting at is I'm hoping that eventually there may be some kind of DNA breakthrough. And we've seen it with other cases where a lot of time will go by and then they'll have a breakthrough with the DNA. And I think that's a possibility in this case. But I don't have any indication that they're getting really close right now.
There you go.
It's interesting that you say that because I think that the DNA evidence is one of the most crucial pieces in furthering the case. I spoke to a genealogist, one of the biggest expert genealogists in her field, who said that, you know, because of this strand of DNA that they have, we could be weeks away from solving the case, we could be years. But aside from that,
they found one rootless hair. One rootless hair. And evidently, guys, they're saying that whoever kidnapped little Nancy, they're saying they spent like 40 minutes inside the house. They was in there 40 minutes and all you got is one rootless hair? That is weird. Now I done said this shit again. I'm gonna say it again. Okay? They had all of those people, all of those damn YouTubers, all of the damn media right outside her freaking driveway. Okay? And guys, don't call me a hypocrite because when my channel blows the fuck up, I'm gonna be in the driveway too. In my opinion, and a lot of you guys don't like that Chief Nanos. Okay, in my opinion, Chief Nanos did a halfway decent job, in my opinion. Okay, some of y'all lost your damn mind when he went to a damn game. He went to a sporting event. Okay, while this whole case was going on. What's up, Deanna? Anyway, he went to a sporting event. Okay, and a lot of y'all lost your damn mind. He shouldn't have went to those sporting events. He should have been dealing with the Nancy Guthrie case, guys. He gets cases all the time, maybe not to this magnitude. He works with 400 other people. So guess what? When he was at the sporting event, I'm sure he left somebody else in charge. But after that, guys, his whole situation started circling the drain. Y'all wasn't feeling his ass no more. Okay? But my whole thing in a nutshell, I do not know why the hell this had to happen. To me, it does not seem like the kidnappers really wanted the money. I'm thinking they wanted like 5 to 15 minutes worth of fame. In this case, 3 months worth of fame. Because as of right now, Nancy is still missing.
Do you think there is a specific piece of evidence or a clue that you have seen that the public should be taking a closer look at?
I think I just still go back to the doorbell video and pictures. I mean, when that came out, you can see the guy's eyes, and I say guy, I'm assuming it's a guy. I guess could technically be a woman, but you can see the mouth. I mean, there's someone out there who knows who that person is. I mean, there just has to be. What's interesting, and we get into this in this special on the CW that I'm working on, which airs Wednesday night at 9. With these profilers, one thing that they all seem to agree on, which is something I hadn't thought a ton about, is that that person in the video could be dead. I mean, if there is in fact truly a puppet master, a leader of this whole thing, and that was just an underling, could they have killed the person at the front door because they were afraid they were going to speak out, try to get the ransom? They were the one on video. The profilers call it elimination. Could he have been eliminated? And they seem to think that that's a real possibility, which is kind of an interesting thing to think about.
Something I want to ask you, considering that you've spoken to people that that know this case intimately. They don't want to go to CNN and they don't want to go to Fox to talk about this. They want to come directly to Brian Entin, and they trust you with their anonymity. Why do you think that is?
Look, a lot of the people who I have gotten to know, I've talked to since the beginning, and you kind of just build that trust with people where if they tell you not to say something, you don't. I run a lot of things by them. I'm very, very careful in my reporting. I try not to report any rumors. I try to be really, really careful and just report the facts. So I think that trust you build up over time. And I always appreciate when people trust me because they take a big risk, like the person we have in our special who we put in silhouette and change their voice. I mean, they're trusting me to do that and to really protect their identity because they're going out on a limb to talk to me. And so, I try to do my best to do that and do the right thing.
Yeah, it seems like you really cultivated a real community around this case. It's like any time I see you at her house, you're nearly always accompanied by people that are like-minded and that want to find her. Regarding her house, you've also spoken to her neighbors. Is there anything that stands out to you from one of your interviews?
Guys, I've said this before. The whole neighborhood pitch black at night. Okay? They said Nancy Guthrie purchased that home back in 1975 for $85,000. Okay, when I first saw the home, I thought, damn, Savannah done hooked her mama up. But that's not true. That's not true. Evidently, Nancy Guthrie and her husband bought that house back in 1975. It's worth, I think, like $1.1 million. They said that was the cheapest home in the whole damn neighborhood and the smallest home in the whole damn neighborhood. This is how I'm thinking that this is an inside job. Because why would somebody off the street picked the smallest home in the whole damn neighborhood. Okay, let me tell you something. I believe that Nancy Guthrie was a proud mama. She was proud of all of her kids. She was proud of all of her kids. I think somebody came over to the house and she was running her mouth, or maybe she was running her mouth to one of the neighbors, and then the neighbors told somebody, hey, you know, that's the mama from the chick that plays on the Today Show. That's what I think happened. Okay? And then all of a sudden, you know, maybe somebody came over the house, saw how many cameras she had, saw that on occasion she did not lock the back door, because evidently, guys, they said it's a great possibility that whoever kidnapped her came through the back. That's what I'm thinking, that they might have come through the back. Okay, and I've already said this, guys. It was very peculiar to me, but they said the dog had died from cancer the month before. It was very peculiar to me that all this shit happened after the damn dog died. Okay, because guys, if this was an inside job and somebody knew the dog died, okay, they probably said, okay, booyah, this is my chance to kidnap her. Now, this shit is sad. Well, can you imagine her being kidnapped, maybe tied down to something, and then the person that kidnaps you dies, and you sitting there tied to a chair or a couch or whatever the hell may be? Guys, that's weird. Okay, that's some terror. All right?
Interviews with the neighbors that the public should also be taking a closer look at.
Yeah, I mean, I think people forget about, like, everybody thinks about Nancy Guthrie as Savannah's mom, but, you know, she lived in that house since the 70s. A lot of the neighbors have lived there for decades and really knew Nancy. I mean, they've known her for years and years. A lot of them went to high school with Nancy's kids.
Exactly.
So, like, it's very, very personal for them. There was a walking group in the neighborhood that the women were in with Nancy years ago. People have gone to church with Nancy. So to them, it's like it's a different vibe. I mean, this is someone that they intimately knew, that they're really distraught about. And then this is also their neighborhood. Like, they're genuinely scared with the fact that this is still unsolved and they don't know who's responsible. There's one neighbor I interviewed again last week, who, you know, the FBI has been to these folks' house. Many of the neighbors been to their house 4 or 5 times, re-interviewing them, asking. This one neighbor, you know, saw something suspicious around the date of January.
Tell me this. All of the family has been cleared. All of the family has been cleared. They said they had nothing to do with this whatsoever. Okay? So anyway, I cannot understand for the life of me. Guys, put this in your mind. Is there a great possibility? And I don't want to mean to harp on Tommaso, because everybody has been on his jock strap, okay? But Tommaso, is it a possibility that when Tommaso drove Nancy back to her home, she got out of the car? Just visualize it with me. She got out of the car. He got out of the car. He ran to the back door. Maybe it was a great possibility she used to leave the garage door open. The back door open, unlocked. And he knew that. He went in the house. He cased out the place, which men do that. He cased out the place, but while he was casing out the place, they said it only took 2 minutes. He might have unlocked the back door so somebody can come back later. That somebody being him. Okay, now guys, they said that Nancy Guthrie's home had been Googled. Okay, those of you who are not familiar with Google Trends will tell you if somebody's place has been Googled or whatever the case may be. Now, that is odd, okay? And they also said Savannah's network had been Googled too. Now, that's not odd, because Savannah is a big-ass celebrity. That's not odd whatsoever. People do that all the time. Okay, but the thing that's odd is, why would they Google Nancy's address? Okay, and if this was an inside job, they would need to Google Nancy's address, because guess what? They already know where her address is, so they wouldn't need to Google it. However, the second person who had never been there before, I believe the first person who had been there before sat up there and told the second person, hey, this is Savannah Guthrie's mother. You know, this is her address. She's worth $40 million. That second person, in my opinion, could have been doing the Googling. But the first person didn't need to Google, because they already knew that it was a fact. Now, I'm not really sure if it was Tommaso. Like I said, it could have been anybody. But guys, this whole thing is weird. This lady has been missing. She's been missing for 3 months. And every lead we get turns up 0 like a mofo.
11th, which is when we think the the suspect was on camera for the first time, saw someone walking by strange. So they have little tidbits of information that they've been sharing with the FBI. I think there's some frustration though that they feel just that it's been 3 months, and that it's gotten so quiet. I mean, a lot of them liked having the reporters outside Nancy's house,
What
believe it or
the
not,
fuck?
because they felt like there was still attention.
Why ain't no damn neighbor like no damn everybody up on the side of the house? Those neighbors was getting pissed off. And I've said this, guys, those YouTubers, the people from the media, they did not need to be there, but my ass might be out there next year. Guys, they found 16 gloves out there. They were contaminating the whole thing. Some of them neighbors here, they were like, hi, how are you, Brian? How are you? But some of them neighbors was getting pissed the fuck off. Okay, Nancy Guthrie lived on a two-way street, and they wind up having to block that shit off and make it a one-way street, which, guys, it should have been blocked off, period. Okay, there should have been no traffic coming through there unless your ass lived down there. Okay, so I don't know what Brian talking about. They probably like to see Brian's monkey ass. Okay, but they was not feeling all of those damn YouTubers. And guys, there was one YouTuber in particular. I'm going to talk about him in a little bit, but guys, I know I'm going to get some damn hate mail. I don't give two shits. Anyway, JLR Investigates. Guys, I used to love watching his channel. Okay, I was like, oh, Lord, I want to mirror my shit after his. But guys, come to find out he was in some kind of domestic situation. Okay, and evidently he has been in federal prison. Okay, but anyway, evidently he had been in some domestic situation a month before this happened. Then a month later, you in the driveway. Okay, evidently you just finished giving your girlfriend a black eye. Okay, but now a month later, you in the driveway of an older woman. Okay, that's what does not make any sense to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody did not need to be fucked down there, in my opinion. Guys, go ahead and comment. I'm sure somebody got about to say something ugly up in the cap. I'm ready for you. Anyway, go ahead and comment, like, share, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, guys. I push that doggone notification button.
On the case, they felt like there was progress being made, and now it's gotten really quiet in the neighborhood.
I'm glad you bring up the neighborhood. Talk to me about the terrain. She lives in a very secluded place. Even her neighbors are a hop, skip, and a jump away. And, it seems like the people that planned this crime, you look at the blood, it stops at the end of the walkway there. Seems like she's loaded into a car. But I think what the authorities, at least to me, seemed to be struggling with at the beginning was identifying this car and getting CCTV footage of the car that she could have possibly been in. But I've spoken to a variety of investigators that say the route that these people took was pre-planned so that they would avoid any kind of detection in CCTV cameras. In that kind of terrain, you tell me, because you've been boots on the ground, do you think it would be easy to track this car using cameras? Are there a lot of cameras around the roads?
I think it would be difficult because there.
Why? And they said one of the cars evidently was a white Kia. Why would you bring a white Kia in the middle of the freaking night? As soon as you pull up in a white Kia, everybody and their mama gonna be looking. Okay? And then the two guys that evidently, first of all, they were saying one of the guys, it was a great possibility it could have been a woman. Because the way they were holding that holster, they said the holster was right there at the Beans and Frank area, if you know what I mean. And it was weird. But come to find out, guys, they now are saying it's a great possibility it was two guys and not one. My whole thing is they were wearing white, like a beige, tan color outfit. Why wouldn't they wear black? And a lot of you tell me, oh, we think it's the cartel. Why in the freak would the cartel be sitting up there wearing a backpack with some reflectors on it? Okay? That doesn't seem like that's not how the cartel operates. And why would the cartel be at the front door where there is a big ass metal security door? You know your ass ain't getting in that way. That is weird. Cartel wearing reflectors. The main reason why that person had reflectors on is I'm believing that they were walking a little distance from where the car was, whether it was a Kia, whatever the fuck it was. Okay, and they didn't want to get hit by a car. That's why they had the reflectors on. Guys, that's not no cartel shit, guys. Go ahead and put it in the comments.
There's not a lot of cameras in the neighborhood. There are on some of the houses, but the problem is the houses are set pretty far back. They're really big lots. Some of the houses are on an acre of land, and there's like a ton of cactuses and brush in front of the house, and then the house is far back. So even if they have a camera like at the front door or on the front of their house, it wouldn't necessarily see the street. It's also so dark. you don't really understand until you're there. There's people don't have there's no street lights, and there's like an ordinance because there's
Weird.
so many stargazers that you're not allowed to have bright outdoor lights. So at night
Are
it
you
is
kidding
literally
me?
pitch black in that neighborhood. And even though I was there for months, I still find myself having to use GPS to like get in and out of the neighborhood many times, especially at night, because it's just so twisty and windy. And I'd be like, oh, let me not use the GPS today. I think I can remember.
He just finished saying it's twisty and windy, and he had been there a couple of times before. So can you imagine somebody who had never been there? Okay, that math is not mathing. It's not mathing. The person who did this had been there several times before. You're not coming in the middle of the night to somebody's house on acres and acres of land, stealing old ladies and smashing cameras. You're not about to do that. That does not make any damn sense.
How to get to the main road, and I would like literally end up like lost in a different part of the neighborhood.
See?
So it's confusing, and it makes you think that this person probably did have a mapped way in and out and a plan of how they were going to get out, and avoid sort of the main roads where there are the traffic cameras.
You've spoken to a profiler that said that this person was local to Tucson. Do you subscribe to that belief as well?
I do. I think my sense is that the person is local. I mean, they did reach out to you guys at TMZ, but they also reached out to the local TV stations. Also, the fact that we believe the person was on camera in the neighborhood at the house 2 weeks before makes me think that it's a local person. So yeah, my sense has been since the beginning that it's someone close by, that it's someone either.
Yes.
Even maybe even in that neighborhood or in the Tucson area.
Exactly.
Last question for you here, Brian, and thank you again for your time today. But how do you hope to see in the next few weeks this case be resolved moving forward?
Look, I mean, I think two things are going to either happen, or three things could either happen. One, it could stay the way it is, which will be frustrating, and they'll be working behind the scenes, but there'll be no suspects and no real progress. Two, I think that the DNA evidence will come through, whether it be the hair or some kind of genetic genealogy testing that they're doing, and there'll be some kind of DNA breakthrough. Or three, and I kind of just, my gut says this might be the most likely, that there's going to be some kind of lucky break, like some lucky tip that comes in, and it's just some small detail that it's exactly what the investigators needed, or even someone in jail, some inmate's going to say something that heard something, and they tell somebody else, and it gets back to the investigators, and it's just going to be one little detail that I hope is enough, just one little lucky break to bust this whole thing open.
This is weird.
Brian, you've been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me today. Guys, make sure you go and watch the Nancy Guthrie mystery. It's Brian Enton's special. It will be airing May 6th, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the CW network. Brian.
Guys, this is weird. This is really weird.
Go back, and they're going to lock in the first 24 to 48 hours of all the statements that they took, all the interviews that they did in neighborhoods, all the places they went to. They're going to go back to those first couple of notes, one of them that, they may believe is legit, and they're going to try to connect those dots in relationship to why they believe these things are not just circumstantially legit, but they can be proved in a court.
Hey guys, it's Jackson Buhai here with TMZ. Now, we have officially reached the 3-month mark since Nancy Guthrie was initially abducted, and still the authorities who are peeling back the layers of this intricate case have given no answers to the public. We ourselves don't know where they are at this point in the investigation. Maybe they do have a lead on who could have conducted this crime. Maybe they don't, but there has been a lot of discussion regarding whether or not this crime was conducted by one or more individuals. And to talk to me about that today, I'm bringing on retired homicide detective Chris McDonough. He is also the host of the podcast, The Interview Room. And I think it's also important to mention that he is the director of law enforcement relations for the Cold Case Foundation. So Mr. McDonough, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the invite.
Of course. Well, thank you for being here. Now, first off, before this interview started, we were kind of talking about why you think there is another person involved in this case. Obviously, we see the person on the doorbell footage, which has become infamously tied to this case now.
Guys, it makes sense that it's at least two people. Nancy Guthrie was like 5'4", 150 pounds. Gait unsteady like a mofo. They said she walked with a cane. Okay. Then there was some speculation that was a great possibility that maybe somebody either bought a wheelchair there to wheel her out. Okay. So if somebody bought a wheelchair there to wheel her out, guess what? You knew something about Nancy. You knew she couldn't walk that good, so you knew you needed a wheelchair. Or they're saying there was a great possibility that Nancy already had a wheelchair there in the home. Okay, so I'm not really sure which one is true. And then somebody even mentioned that one of her pieces of lawn furniture looks like a wheelchair, but it wasn't a wheelchair. And there was a great possibility they could have wheeled her out that way. There is no way in hell you can tell me that only one person did this. This is too much. This is too much. And I'm hoping, guys, I am hoping that if this was indeed allegedly an inside job, I am hoping that they had enough medication for her. Okay? Because, guys, you are not going to survive too long without having your damn blood thinners and you have a damn pacemaker. Okay? And then there was some allegations. There was a great possibility that Nancy, evidently, they saw her somewhere in Mexico or whatever the hell the case may be. Okay? This is weird. But you cannot tell me one person did this by themselves. It's too much.
Millions and millions of times, but you believe that there is a second person off camera. Why?
Well, one of the most interesting things that we have to consider here for Miss Guthrie is, the management of her once they get her out of the house, or whoever this individual was on the porch. Okay. And when we think about that, Jackson, one of the things that you're going to need, and which is obvious here, there was some type of vehicle that was used to remove her from those premises. Okay. As a result of that, now you have to go back from, a behavioral analysis aspect and think, okay, do we have, the placement of the vehicle positioned to where if she were to be taking out of the back of the house, there would be a vehicle there, i.e. near the garage and or the back gate. And so that individual inside the house could say, okay, I got to get her to the back gate. And then I need to get her to the car that's probably waiting outside because we know she's not there. So some type of transportation was used. Okay. And then if we think about this even further, the fact that, she is now taken out of the front, now that suspect behavior starts to change. Okay. And so you have to now think, okay, does he manage her in the home? Okay, meaning does he hurt her in the home? And we don't have evidence of that at this point. The law enforcement authorities have not given us any evidence that there was, problems with inside her bedroom or anything like that. We only have it at the front door, maybe at the interior threshold and maybe on the front porch. Okay, but something had to change in the suspect's behavior, because if the fact that he was going to take her out the back, well, then you would logically think he is also prepared to park a car back there and put her into that vehicle and move her. But that's not where the evidence points us. The evidence points us, i.e. the blood, in the front of the house. So that means he has to do one of two things. A, he has to tell Miss Guthrie, stay here, I'm going to move the car around, hypothetically. Or B, okay, he's already positioned the car out front and then takes her out the front, okay, and puts her into the vehicle. Well, then that is a problem because he's already positioned the back doors, allegedly, put those open to take her out the back. So what is he going to do? Take her out the back and then move her around and bring her around to the front?
Makes no sense.
Okay? So that, for me, is kind of this idea.
Okay, Deanna brought up a good point. She's saying maybe it was 3 people, and I agree. There is no way one person could have done this all by themselves unless he knocked her the fuck out. If he knocked her out, then there was a great possibility he had all this time to do this. But this is weird. This is really weird. Guys, this is sad. This lady has been missing for over 3 months. 84 years old. Pacemaker, blood thinner, diuretic. Can't walk with a cane. Weak than a mofo. And you mean to tell me only one person did this? That don't make no sense.
Idea that says, okay, there has to be more than one person involved
It
in this thing.
was.
Because we're only thinking about just the front porch, okay? But we're not thinking about once she's outside, okay, that there had to be somebody else also working in conjunction to get her removed from that property. And i.e. the three of them, let's say hypothetically,
There you go,
remove her
Deanna.
simultaneously from the, take her away from that property.
Interesting. And I think what's also important to mention is the blood evidence that we have. Obviously, there's those pictures that were released of Nancy Guthrie's blood on her front porch. And, I've spoken to people that were there on the scene who detailed that the blood started in a large spatter at her front door, and it trailed all the way to the end of that walkway before hitting the asphalt on the road, which suggests that there was indeed a getaway driver. If you were working with the FBI Phoenix Field Office or the Pima County Sheriff's Office in this case, what would you be doing to further this investigation?
Well, there would be a couple of things that you have to look at, right? You have to look at the data points. And what are those data points that we have? We have a data point from the garage opening, 11:48, 11:50, it closes, okay? But what other data points do we have? Well, we know that they took various vehicles in this.
Okay, guys, put a 1 in the comments if you still believing that it is a great possibility it could be Tommaso. Okay, so Tommaso is the son-in-law of Nancy Guthrie. Tommaso is married to Annie. Okay, my whole thing in a nutshell, guys, and a lot of you sat up there and said, that's a pool house in the back of her house. No, guys, if you look at her home, that little structure you thought was a pool house was too far away from the pool. That's how I knew it wasn't a damn pool house. Now, she probably does have a pool house, but that was not a pool house. That structure that's behind her home, to me, looked like an in-law suite. And come to find out, guys, it was an in-law suite. And evidently, Nancy had rented out that property at least one time. She had rented it out. Okay, so my whole thing is the person that she rented out to, who the hell is that? Okay, that could have been somebody who knew something about what was going on inside of the house, how many cameras, this, that, and the third. Okay, but guys, you cannot tell me that the person who did this had never been there before. Now, maybe the other 1 or 2 people that was with them, maybe they never been there before. But at least one of those people who kidnapped Nancy, at least, they had been there before. Thank you, Latoya. I appreciate it. Yes, I am thinking, and then Tommaso had that damn band leader, Dominic. They was looking at his monkey behind. But I'm not really sure if he's cleared or not. But guys, this is weird. This lady been missing for 3 months.
In this particular case, okay? And one of those vehicles, obviously a Range Rover. The second was a family vehicle where, she was last seen in that vehicle, okay? But then now you have to ask even further, why are you doing that? Okay? Why? Because are you looking for telemetrics data? And if that's the case, then what you're trying to do is see where that vehicle went. Okay. Well, as an investigator, I'm asking the question, do you not believe parts of narratives? Okay, that you have to take the telemetrics data out of a family car and then hold that vehicle for over 40 days? Okay. Why are you checking the telemetrics data if you're only looking for proof of life within that vehicle that she was taken from point A to point B and dropped off? You can do that in 2 days, 3 days. Okay. You can take a story and a narrative and say, okay, she's in this car. Let's check that box and see if there's any evidentiary value inside the right front passenger seat. Okay, from when she left that car, that garage door goes up at 10:48. The garage door comes out at 10:50 or goes down at 10:50. Okay, but we don't have any other data points. We don't have a data point of that garage going up and a suspect taking her out of that garage and putting her into another vehicle and transporting her out. Okay.
Now, I've said this before, guys. I've said this. When Tommaso drove her back home from that family function, this is my thought process, guys. that there was a great possibility he let her get off the passenger side, out on the passenger side. He got out on the driver's side. He ran to the back door. And he didn't necessarily have to run, guys, because they said all of this happened in 2 minutes. This is what I'm thinking hypothetically. Her back door was already unlocked from inside of the garage. He went inside the house, pretended like he's casing out the place, and then he unlocks the door. And then he tells Nancy, okay, everything is cool. Have a good night, mother-in-law, whatever the case may be. I am thinking that is what happened. Because, guys, as of today, I have not seen not one damn video made by Tommaso or Annie of what happened to their mother, aka mother-in-law, on that last day they saw her. Okay, because the very next day, she was supposed to go over to a friend's house to attend church online, and she never made it. And then the friends start calling, and eventually they called the family, and then eventually they had to call the popo. Okay, then you got this idiot fool by the name of Derek Kalela. Derek sat up there and made a fake ransom note. But his ass is about to go to court here pretty soon, guys. I think it's June the 23rd. He about to be in trouble. Okay, why are you doing fake ransom notes? These people are trying to find their motherfucking mother. And you ain't got shit else to do to make a fake ransom note. And then you show up to court with your damn mother. You show up to court with your mama. But I know your mother got to be humiliated like a motherfucker. Okay, I wouldn't have showed up to court with your monkey behind. I hope your ass get in trouble for making up this fake ransom note. I don't know if he's probably trying to get the Bitcoin or whatever the case may be. But this is weird. This is weird, and I said this before. The reason why. Write this shit down and don't get confused. The reason why, thank you, Deanna. The reason why we don't have her back as of today is because the reward was set low than a mofo. There's some poor people that can come up with that money. $2,500, $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. There's some poor people that can come up with that money. And your mama is missing, and you are a millionaire. Your net worth is $40 million, and that's all you got? Are you crazy? This is the reason we don't have her back.
So those are the kind of things where investigators, I know there's been a lot of talk about the telemetrics inside of the vehicles. Okay. Well, for me, that was almost this idea that says, well, why are the investigators doing that in such a minutia detail? Okay? That they're trying to find the data points in the Range Rover, and they're trying to find data points in a Honda Civic, okay, or CRV. Okay, why are they doing that? Okay? Because if somebody says I took person A to this location and dropped them off, okay, well then you don't need to get the entire telemetric system in that vehicle. Okay, if you're just looking as an investigative process, okay, to prove that she was in that car. Okay. They're looking for data points. So again, it comes back to the vehicle. You say, okay, well, where's this vehicle? Where's it been? And why are we doing this from an investigative analysis aspect? Which leads into a secondary question, okay? The 911 call, okay? Who makes the 911 call? Well, if it's a medical event the night before, well, then guess what? Who's going to make the very first call is going to be Miss Guthrie. Okay, Nancy Guthrie herself. I'm having a medical emergency. I need the paramedics here. Okay, which would have explained potentially, the back doors being open. Okay, but we don't have that information relates to.
And you know what, guys? They sat up there and said that Nancy Guthrie, a time or two, had left the back door open. Okay, but still, who would know that? It has to be an inside job. Who would know that? Let's just say a stranger walked up to the house. If you even walk up to the house, you will see that there were some cameras there, but she did not have a Nest Cam subscription. Who would know that? Okay, guys, my mother is right at Nancy Guthrie's back door when it comes to age. My mother is almost 80 years old. Okay? Guys, when your parents get old, and I done said this a time or two, when your parents get old, you're going to start taking on the responsibility of paying their bills. Either paying their bills with their own money or paying their bills with your money, whatever the case may be. And I am thinking maybe it's a great possibility that Annie and Tommaso started paying Nancy's bills. And then, on accident, on purpose, maybe they stopped paying that Nescam bill because they knew that later on they were going to try to kidnap her. Now, I'm not really sure that Annie had anything to do with this, okay, because she seems sincere that she missed her mama. And Savannah seems sincere too. And the brother Cameron, he seems sincere. But guys, they sat up there and said that Savannah, there was a great possibility she could have kidnapped her own mama. Okay? They said Savannah took a medical leave to have throat surgery way before this shit happened with her mama. Okay? She took a medical leave to have some type of throat surgery. Okay? While she was on the leave. While she was on the medical leave, guess what? The ratings for the Today Show went up like a mofo. Okay, that is not a good sign, Savannah. Your ass is gone and the ratings go up. That's not a good sign. So everybody was starting to speculate maybe it was a great possibility she kidnapped her own mama so her damn ratings would go up. She even got so desperate, she wanted the Today Show to follow her ass on follow-up appointments. Now, I'm not really sure if the Today Show went for that or whatever the case may be. And then she got on camera and did some weird shit for Easter. And evidently, guys, she was blaming God. And guys, that's the stages of grieving. You blame everybody. Okay, because it was weird, that Easter little thing she had on YouTube, that shit was weird. Okay, but I'm sure she was still, and still is, grieving her mother. Guys, this is horrific like a motherfucker. This is horrific. Okay? But my whole thing in a nutshell, I do not believe Savannah had anything to do with it. I don't believe Annie had anything to do with it. I don't believe that the brother Cameron had anything to do with it. But guys, I'm kind of looking sideways still at Tommaso.
The public yet. Okay. All we know is that the next morning when somebody is looking for her, i.e. the family, okay, they make a 911 call. Okay, so which leads to another question. Did they call the girlfriends and say, hey, did Nancy call you last night? And did somebody come over here and take her out of the house?
There you go.
Okay, because these are the same people that reported her missing at the church function. Okay? And those are the kind of steps that I think are taking place behind the scenes, in an investigation such as this. There's one thing to catch these guys, okay, and there's another thing to say we've studied these guys, okay. Just think of the lion hunter and the lion in the cage at the zoo. Profilers go to the zoo and they study the lion. I have to figure out what type of lion it is, okay, before I can put him in the cage. So that solvability rate is pretty good so far, okay. So I look at minutia details like this, and the details like this are telling us clearly, okay, there has to be at least one, maybe two, at least one other individual involved. We have evidence of that potential because, the investigators again are focusing on that vehicle. And how do we know that? Because they're looking for video. Okay, they're looking for video from February 24th, from whatever the dates are. Okay, weeks and weeks before this incident takes place. Okay, now again, that is behavior that raises the risk of the offender, and which is never a good thing. And two or more people is never a good thing either in this type of case. Okay. However, suspects are, they have surprised me more than once. I've sat down many times with perpetrators and said, hey, we were thinking A, B, C, and D, and they just look at you across the table and say, well, you got it wrong. Okay. I was doing E, F, and G. Okay. And you go, okay, teach me. Help me understand what you were thinking and why you were thinking that way. Why did you show up in the secondary photograph without the gun and without the backpack. Okay. And then why did...
So guys, they were saying at Nancy Guthrie's front door, when it was one person, okay, they were saying there was a great possibility it could have been a woman, and then they figured out that it was indeed a man, okay, because the way that person was holding that holster, how they had it around their waist, guys, it was right there at the Beans and the Frank area, okay. And then Nancy Grace, she sat up there and put some video footage out that there was indeed two people, and that the second person was holding what looked to be a cell phone, and they were holding the cell phone light so they could try to get that camera off the freaking front door. Okay, and then that one person went and got some brush and was trying to, I guess, hold the brush in front of his face so you wouldn't see who the hell it was. Okay, my whole thing in a nutshell, I'ma tell you how they could have got caught. If that person, or if both of those people purchased all of that shit that they was wearing, if they purchased all of that shit where they were, I believe they said they purchased all of it at Walmart. Okay, I don't know if it's all of it or some of it or whatever the case may be, but if they purchased all of that at one time at Walmart, whether it be, I hope they dumbass didn't use their damn credit card. You know how criminals are. Sometimes they can get slowed in a mofo. Okay, look at David D4VD. His ass set up there in order to freaking Uber for Celeste Rivas Hernandez on his damn cell phone with his own damn credit card. And then he's going to sit up here and try to act like, oh, I'm innocent. Okay, get over yourself. Anyway, if these people ordered that whole damn outfit, whether cash or credit card, all at the same time, it's only a matter of time before they figure out who the fuck they is. Okay, it's only a matter of time. Okay, it's only a matter of time.
You change that concept and show up with the gun and the backpack. What was going on? Okay, and you'd be surprised. Sometimes they'll say, well, so-and-so was out in the car. I didn't have to worry about that. And I had a radio, hypothetically. I could just tell them, pull the car around the front. We're not going out the back.
So, being the director of law enforcement relations for the Cold Case Foundation, you have a lot of experience with cold cases. What would make this a cold case, and do you think that the authorities are any closer to finding the person who conducted this crime?
Well, what would make it a cold case is when they 100% run out of thinking outside of the box. Okay? An investigation, as long as it's fluid and you've got people such as myself.
Okay, Justice Random Productions said there, have you looked at the time frame from when evidently Annie called? Let me see. Have you looked at the time frame from when they found her missing to where Annie called Savannah? I haven't. What's up with that? Go ahead and tell us. There was some type of delay or whatever the case may be? I'm not really sure what's up with that. But guys, you know what I'm saying? Even though Savannah is the youngest sister, they leaning on her brother and the doggone sister Annie, who both older. They leaning on her like she the main person. And the whole thing in a nutshell, and this made me very sad. Savannah asked her brother Cameron, who is a fighter pilot. She asked him, do you think mommy is missing? And I'm paraphrasing like a mofo. Do you think mommy is missing because of me? And the brother said, yes. And yes, I believe mommy is missing because of you, because you are a celebrity. You are a celebrity. You are a millionaire. You're worth $40 million. Yes, that is probably the reason why the mama is missing. But guys, I'm not really sure. Just Random Productions. I'm not really sure if there was a delay. Go ahead and message me and let me know.
Playing, the what if, have we thought about this concept, then the investigation will maintain itself, okay? And it will keep moving, okay? At this point, they're relying strictly on, it sounds like anyway, they're relying strictly on this DNA evidence that comes back, okay? Well, what if that DNA comes back and it's not anything or anyone that can be identified? Now you're going, okay, what else do we have? And you know what they're going to do, Jackson? They're going to go back, at least they should, and they're going to lock in the first 24 to 48 hours of all the statements that they took, all the interviews that they did in neighborhoods, all the places they went to. They're going to go back to those first couple of notes one of them that, they may believe is legit. Okay. And they're going to try to connect those dots in relationship to, why they believe these things are, not just circumstantially, legit, but they can be proved in a court.
It's weird.
And that evidence in itself will tell you whether or not the case is cold or not. And when those things are all exhausted, then a lot of agencies turn to organizations such as us.
3
we
months,
have 167 experts from around the world, including John Douglas, who is our executive director emeritus, which he started the Cold Case Foundation, he started the Behavior Science Unit. Okay. Well, John and many others, Greg Cooper, who's our executive director, was also the director of the Behavior Science Unit. Okay. So we not only have profilers, we have the people that started it, the business, okay, in our organization.
Okay, guys, he's babbling like a mofo. Evidently, somebody is mentioning, Latoya is mentioning something about some type of signal jammer. Okay. And I know that was out there, that there's a great possibility that there was some type of signal jammer going on in that whole damn neighborhood. And guys, I don't know if that ever really came to fruition or whatever the case may be. What we had, Justice Random Productions. I can't remember the times because it was a while ago, but I just remember and wonder why it took her so long to call her. Yeah, I think I did read something about that it took her a while to call her. Maybe she didn't want to bother her, whatever the case may be. But if that was my mom, I'd be mad at her. Okay, if my brother or my sister didn't call, I don't have no sister, but if my brother didn't call me and my mama missing, I'm gonna have a big damn problem with that. I am gonna have a big problem. But I do remember that there was some type of delay going on. Let's listen to this, Nancy. Nancy Grace can get ignorant like a motherfucker.
The last known footage of Nancy Guthrie, does it reveal the killer's ID? This as the Nancy Guthrie killer's route revealed. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
She is 84 years old.
Sad.
Her health, her heart is fragile.
And every hour and minute and second and every long night has been agony since then.
She is without any medicine. She needs it to survive.
We need your help.
What a difference a DoorDash, an Uber, a delivery, a Lyft can make. Do you remember in Brian Kohberger's prosecution after the murders of 4 beautiful University of Idaho students?
Stay focused now.
I have to testify. Partner case too, so yeah, because I'm a DoorDash driver, so yeah.
You have to testify in which murder case?
Murder case with the college girl.
Oh.
I'm a DoorDash driver, I saw Brian there.
Yeah, take that, Kohberger. Busted by the DoorDash
Stay
delivery
focused.
woman.
We talking about Nancy.
To Joseph Scott Morgan joining us, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, the author of Blood Beneath My Feet on Amazon, star of a hit podcast, Body Bags with Joe Scott Morgan. But for our purposes, he is a death investigator with over 10,000 investigations under his belt. Joe Scott Morgan, do you remember in Kohberger, eyewitness DoorDash delivery person identifies Kohberger as being outside the murder scene, 1122 King Road, at the time of the murders, 4 o'clock in the morning. Really? Yeah. Busted.
And
now, in this
you know
case,
what? I don't. Yeah,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say I'm reflecting back right now. You could have knocked me over with a feather when we got that footage. Do you remember that? Because we didn't know that existed. And all of a sudden, all it takes, Nancy, is just one little turn of the screw, right? Something that we're not completely aware of. And then all of a sudden, boom, the narrative completely changes, or at least the narrative is more clear. And I think we might be headed down this road with Mrs. Guthrie, Nancy.
We have just learned that in the...
Okay, guys. To me, this case is getting cold. It's chilly than a mofo. 3 months this lady has been missing. 3 freaking months it has been missing. And guys, I'm not really sure how true it is. Go ahead and put it in the comments, guys. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And push that notification button. Guys, my contact information is here. I got my email, I got my Venmo, and I got my Cash App. Okay. My whole thing is 3 freaking months. 3 freaking months. Okay, Deanna says, I thought it was strange that Annie didn't say Savannah. If she had heard from Nancy, she just jumped in by saying she's missing. Okay? Guys, this whole damn case is weird. It is weird. But to me, guys, I've said this before. They gonna catch this motherfucker. They gonna catch him. But I don't think it's gonna be no time soon. And I do believe that when they find out who did this, guys, when they find out, I'm really sure, I'm not sure that Nancy is still going to be alive. That's the whole sad thing about it. She was 84. She already lived her life. And guys, if you really listen to Nancy's story, she didn't really have a success story in the beginning. She married her husband. They had 3 kids. And evidently, guys, I'm not really sure if this is true or not. She actually had to take care of her brother. And then she actually had, I believe, a nephew that had special needs. Okay, so don't think everything was golden for her behind. There was a little struggle for Nancy in the beginning. Of course, after Savannah started getting on the Today Show, I'm sure things started getting better because she got a daughter that's a millionaire. And I'm sure that Savannah helped with making her house modern or whatever the case may be. But Nancy still wanted to live there in the middle of nowhere. And I'm not really sure if this is true or not. The family has since got the house back. They got the house back. But guess what, guys? I heard that there's a possibility and some rumors that they are planning to sell that house. Okay, and I'm not sure if Nancy is alive. Is she going to go for that? I'm sure it's probably going to be a traumatic experience her still living there. Okay, this whole situation is sad.
Celeste Rivas case, where D4VD, a.k.a. David Anthony Burke, is now charged in her murder and her dismemberment of this then 13-year-old little girl. Don't show me him. I've seen him enough. I don't care if I ever see him again. The Tesla. Every Tesla has 360-degree visual, unless it's been destroyed. In this case, see how valuable that is in the Celeste Rivas case? In this case, no one, until a few days ago.
We got Mr. D12 in the house. I really love y'all being here. Guys, yeah. We're not talking about David D4VD today, but where in the hell is that Tesla video footage? Okay, guys, when that comes out, if they do have the footage, guys, because from what I understand, and I don't have a Tesla, okay, I got some roll-up windows, Nissan Versa, not one camera to be found. In my opinion, that's what David should have been using to put her unalive body allegedly in the front of the car. We're not talking about David D4VD, okay? We are talking about Nancy Guthrie, and then we're going to be talking about this Tanner Horner situation with little Athena Strand. That's what we're going to be talking about today. But guys, if that video footage comes out with David D4VD and they see his little monkey behind putting Celeste Rivas Hernandez body in the front of that car, that is going to be the nail in his freaking coffin.
Has been looking at around that Uber delivery, that Uber drive. So what, if anything, can we learn, Joe Scott Morgan?
Well, certainly directionality. What route was taken, and also, look, as an old investigator, I want to know as much as I possibly can about the driver. That they have an awareness of her, maybe who she is, this sort of thing. Were they followed in any way? I think, and so any kind of players that might be involved in this peripheral. Look, we'll take anything, right? We'll take absolutely anything relative to the data that can be sourced. Where did this individual go before? Okay, he picked up Mrs. Guthrie. Where did he go after he picked up Mrs. Guthrie? I want to know everything about it in granular detail now.
Your daughter is a freaking millionaire. Your daughter, and thank you, Latoya. Latoya says, I'm not buying it about the car. Amy is in the house. Anyway, my whole thing is your daughter is a freaking millionaire. $40 million. That's how much she's worth. Why would you need to catch a freaking Uber? Why would you need to catch an Uber? You should have a fucking driver. Okay? And that's another thing. Is the Uber driver involved? Does she use the same Uber driver, whatever the case may be? I do not know. Amy, it's okay.
Nancy.
From what we can tell, there was intense planning of the kidnap of Mrs. Guthrie. So, what we're getting at is when he picked up Mrs. Guthrie to take her to Annie's, we have reason to believe the perp was already in the neighborhood, positioned, waiting. Straight out to Cheryl McCollum joining us, Cold Case Investigative Research Institute
Break it down.
founder.
Break it down, Nancy.
She is also a crime scene investigator, and she is the star of a hit podcast, Zone 7. She's the author of a brand new book, Swans Don't Swim in a Sewer, Solving the Cold Case of the Flint River Killer's Daughter. Amazing book, by the way. Cheryl McCollum, thank you for being with us. We have reason to believe that if you know when you don't know a horse, Cheryl McCollum, you look at his track record. We already know that Miss Guthrie's kidnapper was there on January 11. He's caught on video and very likely there on previous occasions. You know he was in that neighborhood and poised with his accomplice when Mrs. Guthrie was first picked up and taken to Annie Guthrie's. Many people believe he may have already gotten into her place before Mrs. Guthrie returned home that night.
Whoa.
You know, Nancy, I want to go back to the car first. When I first get to a scene and I get out of my car, I take photographs up and down the street. The reason is I don't know what cars belong there and what don't. I don't know who parks on the street normally, who's in a driveway, etc. They can go back with that Tesla video and see if there's somebody parked on the side of the road, if there's somebody parked in a driveway that doesn't belong. This person we know cased out her home before. You already mentioned the 11th. We think, again on the 20-something and then on the 30th. This person cased it. They knew her, comings and goings. They knew what she looked like. On this night, they, I believe, were laying in wait. I think they know exactly when she got home. And that's why you see him going back to the front door after all the lights are out and he thinks she's sound asleep.
Cheryl. Guys, joining me in addition to Joe Scott Morgan, Cheryl McCollum is with us, the star of Zone 7 podcast. Cheryl, how many cases did you and I work together in inner city Atlanta and Fulton County? I mean, can we even count them? I can't.
Thousands.
Yeah, it's hard when I look back to count the numbers, 100, 150 brand.
So the lady that she's talking to, guys, I have seen her doing other interviews. Very informative. She was talking about how that whole scene should have been locked down, and I said it too. It should have been locked out. All of those people from the news media, all those damn people from YouTube, guys, it was just too many people out there taking videos and this, that, and the third, interviewing the freaking neighbors and this, that, and the third. It was too much. They were contaminating the crime scene. Now, I will say this. That is probably, in my opinion, the one thing that Chief Nanos did not do that he should have been doing. Okay, he should have locked down that whole freaking neighborhood. Okay, in my opinion, if you didn't live on up the street, then guess what? Your ass don't need to be there. Your ass did not need to be there. Guys, they were contaminating the whole shit. They found 16 gloves. You had people from YouTube getting pizzas delivered, getting soda delivered, getting potato chips delivered to Nancy Guthrie's house. Disrespectful. Like a mofo. Okay, some of them people did not need to be down there. Only later on did somebody get a wild hair in their behind and decide to make her a two-way street, a one-way street, so that blocked a lot of the traffic. But to this day, You still got motherfuckers down in the damn driveway. Okay, I do not understand it for the life of me. And then Brian Enton said that a lot of the neighbors liked the news people being down there. Guys, I don't think I would like that shit. Guys, I don't know how you feel about it. Put it in the comments. I wouldn't want a lot of strange motherfuckers taking pictures right outside of my house. Celebrity or no celebrity. To me, guys, that is the one thing, in my opinion, that Chief Nanos did that he didn't lock down that whole situation.
New felonies a week times 4, that's a month, times 12, times 10 years plus. That's a lot of cases. So Cheryl, is there anything new under the sun? Defendants do the same thing over and over and over. They can't help themselves. Like, think about it. Everybody listening right now, do you brush your teeth the same way, at the same time, every morning, in the same order? Do you wash your clothes a certain way? Do you get somewhere in your car and go, oh my goodness, I don't even remember getting here. I must have zoned out. People do the same things over and over and over. It's like, it's muscle memory. So what I'm saying, Cheryl, we know this guy, the perp, one of them anyway, because I believe there had to be at least 2 involved. We know this guy lay in wait before. We know he cased the scene more than once. So he was very high on preparation, getting there ahead of time. What would be any different this time? It's like every time a dog sits down, it circles 3 times. You know he was in that neighborhood, which makes it very important to review the video from the Uber driver that picked up Mrs. Guthrie.
And you know what, guys? They're showing video footage of the guy with his hand up against the camera. And they were saying it was a great possibility that that person was wearing a ring. And then they said, guys, if you look here, it looked like the person had a tattoo. Okay? I didn't see no damn tattoo. I didn't see no ring. Okay, and so what if the person was wearing a ring and now it's all on social media that you like to wear a pinky ring? You think that person's still gonna wear a damn pinky ring? That is weird. Okay, now the tattoo, I did not see no tattoo, guys. Go put it in the comments and let me know, did you see a tattoo? Because I didn't see no tattoo. But my whole thing is they can cover up a tattoo as well. Okay. But my whole thing is, in a nutshell, guys, how are they going to really figure out who the hell this was? This person had a big-ass mask on, had a big-ass jacket on. I mean, I don't know how they're going to figure out who the hell this person was. And now they sit around and they talk about this genealogy crap. And that is only going to be, they got one little hair that did not have a root. Guys, it's going to take us forever to figure out who the heck this person was. Latoya says, how would they know she was out or in the house? She doesn't have a car. No, she did have a car. She did have a car. The car was at the house though. See what I'm saying? They were casing out the place. The car she had, and I believe it was outside of the garage. It was still at the house. Evidently, the Uber driver came and picked her up to go to her family function. See what I'm saying? They already knew that Nancy lived there by herself, and they knew that nobody was living in that in-law suite anymore, even though she had rented it out at least one other time. They was casing out the place. They already knew she was living there by herself, and they probably knew that the dog just died.
That night. And also, Cheryl McCollum, a lot has been made about the daughter, Annie Guthrie, and brother-in-law of Savannah Guthrie, their car being impounded, and why it took so long. How do I know it didn't have 360 nav, just like a Tesla? Remember what we learned in the Alex Murdaugh double murder trial and the murders of his wife, Maggie, and son, Paul? His SUV, it was a big honking like a Wagoneer or something, revealed so much data. When he took off from the crime scene that night, scratching off, when he slowed down his vehicle, let the passenger window down electronically, yes, the black box of his car showed that, threw out Maggie's cell phone and then scratched off to hide out at his mother's house. Remember all that?
Stay focused.
So much we can learn. So Cheryl, yeah, so while their vehicle was in impound, how do I know they weren't looking at that?
They should have been. they not only should be looking at any type of data that could come from the car, whether it's video or from the black box. Did that car move after 9 o'clock? They would know that. And that's why it's critical when you're ruling people in and ruling them out. Go through all of it in order to truly rule somebody out. The data from that phone, the data from the car, it's going to tell the story. That's not something they can manipulate. The Uber driver the same way. If he were to put his phone on airplane mode, that black box in that car is still operating.
So anyway, Deanna sat up here and said that she did have a car, and the car was in the garage. I thought the car was actually outside of the garage. And Mr. D12 says, I believe that it was the son-in-law. Okay, so I am so, guys, I'm not really sure who did this. Not really sure who did this. But in my opinion, the whole family been ruled out. But I'm not really sure about Tommaso and Tommaso's little bandmates. I'm not really sure about that.
And still telling us whether it's rolling forward, in park, the trunk opens, the passenger door opens, we will know all of it.
Back to you, Joe Scott Morgan, you and I believe Cheryl and Fitz were talking at the very, very beginning when Miss Guthrie went missing about the importance, the critical nature of vehicles in this case. And now it's coming true.
Yeah, we absolutely were, because she's dependent, I think, to a great degree upon people moving her about. And so our vehicles are so tied to what our identity is and how we move about, and also where we are at any given time. So I think that this could be one of the keys that's going to unlock this. We can talk about physical evidence all you want to, but the big piece to this is her movement, because that's essential, Nancy. And one of the big questions we've always had, how did she get into the house, out of the house? Was she conveyed in any way?
So Latoya said that, I guess she's saying Tommaso has always been her number one suspect, okay? Guys, they were saying it was a great possibility that Tommaso and his wife, Annie, was in some type of debt. Now, both of them are school teachers, and they only live 11 minutes down the road from Nancy Guthrie. Now, Nancy Guthrie lived in $1 million neighborhood. How in the hell can two school teachers who only make, and I Googled this shit, guys, who only made $60,000 a piece as school teachers, how can they afford, I believe they said the house was worth $650,000, unless Savannah purchased the house for them to be in close proximity to the mama. Okay? But if that's not the case, how can two school teachers afford that? Guys, I've lived everywhere. I'm retired military, and I used to live out in Arizona, and I have been to Tucson. Okay, I have been to Tucson some years ago. And the whole thing in a nutshell, guys, the neighborhood does not get that shaky. It doesn't go from $1 million homes to plummet it to $200,000 home. The neighborhood doesn't get like that. And I'm trying to figure out, how in the hell did these two school teachers, how can they afford just to live 11 minutes down the way? They were saying there was a great possibility that they might have been in some debt, and evidently they were saying that Tommaso liked to get his gamble up. So maybe he was in some gambling problems. Shit, Nancy Guthrie was 84 years old. How much older did y'all think her ass was going to get? Y'all was probably going to get the insurance money anyway. Okay, she done outlived a whole lot of motherfuckers. How much older did y'all think her ass was going to get?
What's being implied here? So all of the actors that at least the police have revealed to this point are going to play a role in this, trying to create this timeline. And hopefully, Nancy, and it's rather grim, but where is she? I think is a big part to this as well. And that's a question that we all want to know, right? We want to know who the perp is, but we want to know where she is in her current status, Nancy.
Well, again, a track record. How many cases have been busted by vehicles? And all we need is one clue about the vehicle. I mean, think it through. Let's take a look. just for the fun of it, at Brian Kohberger's white Elantra, zipping around the neighborhood, caught on one cam after the next, after the next. Yep. And it wasn't just Brian Kohberger. Do I have to say Molly Tibbetts? As you will recall, Cheryl McCollum, star of Zone 7, Cheryl McCollum, in the Molly Tibbetts case, the perp was unknown to her. There was no connection, which made the case even more difficult to crack. It was like a needle in a haystack.
Stay focused,
until video emerged of the killer's car going back and forth and back and forth. And then you see Molly Tibbetts come into the frame.
Here we go.
And the person, the perp, is talking to her, trying to get her in the car. She threatens to call 911. What was interesting about that vehicle, it had distinct markings along the side of it, and that is how...
Okay, welcome pieces 2.0. And then Latoya made the comment, evidently they're not going to get any money, any insurance money, if she's just missing and not dead. Great point. Great point. So I am starting to think, guys, I'm not really sure if it was Tommaso. Like I said, guys, this is who I'm thinking it could be. I am really thinking it could be somebody who is young, okay? Because evidently this person who is writing these ransom notes to TMZ, they sat up there and wrote an apology letter and said, and I said this before, they wrote an apology letter and sat up there and said that Nancy, and I'm paraphrasing like a mofo, they said that Nancy evidently has gone on to be with God, and they did not realize that she was as sick as she was. What the freak? She was 84 years old. What, I mean, did you think that you were getting somebody spry? You already knew that she couldn't walk that good. And you out there in that rocky terrain? Are you serious? 84 years old, pacemaker, blood thinner, diuretic. Guys, this is what's making me think that this was a young person, somebody not playing with a full deck. This is weird.
The killer was caught. And we've seen it play out over and over again. In the case of the glam yoga teacher,
come on, stay focused.
Caitlin Armstrong, her SUV, let's take a look at that, was spotted going round and around and around the murder scene just before a world-class female dirt bike racer was murdered. Over what? A man. Because her boyfriend, Caitlin Armstrong's boyfriend, had a hamburger with the victim. So what's her logical action? Kill her.
You go kill somebody because they had a hamburger with your boyfriend. Are you saying? I don't mean to laugh. Are you kidding me? Are you done or are you finished? Are you kidding me?
That video cracked the case. So in this case, straight out to Brian Fitzgibbons joining us, Director of Operations, USPA Nationwide Security, leading a team of investigators around the world, finding and extracting missing people. He's also a former Marine and Iraqi war vet. Brian, this vehicle, I understand that new eyes are now looking at video for parked cars, for people walking, not just on the night of the abduction, but before that, because we know the kidnapper was there ahead of time. That is his MO, modus operandi, method of operation. So what could the Uber driver's car reveal, depending on what kind of car it is?
I think you and Joe Scott Morgan hit the nail on the head just earlier there, that what's in the background and the periphery of that video. So on top of establishing that Mrs. Guthrie was coherent, in a good state while she was in that ride, there might be other things that we can see. Was there a vehicle spotted on a front-facing camera? Some of these Ubers have not only rear-facing passenger cameras, but they could have front-facing cameras as well operating at the same time. And I'll add one piece here. There are still thousands of hours of video collected from both public and private sources that that review is ongoing and a very tedious effort. But what they're focusing on is trying to find a vehicle in the right space and right time that can lead to be further investigated.
Now, we know, moving beyond the Uber driver that picked up Nancy Guthrie that night, a lot has been made to you, Joe Scott Morgan.
Thank you for joining us. Stack 6165, greatly appreciated. And Pieces 2.0. Guys, when is this going to be solved? Guys, if this is not cold, this is lukewarm in a motherfucker. This is lukewarm in a motherfucker. When is this going to be solved? This shit is taking too long. Okay? And guys, it's my personal opinion. Take it or leave it. Do whatever the hell you want to do with it. Guys, Savannah Guthrie has already returned back to work. Okay? She has already returned back to work. Guys, I would be so damn distraught if this was my mama. I would not be able to return back to work. No, I would not be able to do it. She's a freaking millionaire. Ain't like she got to go back. Guys, I wouldn't have gone back, period, especially if I was thinking that it was a great possibility is because I am the freaking millionaire that my mama is missing. Because guess what? You got a husband, you got kids, you got nieces and nephews, you got sisters and brothers. And guess what? You could be putting their asses in jeopardy. So no, I would have told the Today Show to kiss the back of my behind. Okay, I would not have returned back to the Today Show because, guys, it's a great possibility. This is the reason. This is the reason why she is missing.
About Annie Guthrie and her husband's vehicle. We know that it was a blue Honda CR-V, and Hondas, CR-V specifically, do have nav system depending on the trim level you get on the car. Now, what does that mean? And what, if anything, can we learn from that? Because he, the son-in-law, brings Nancy home, and you know the killer was somewhere in the area when she was brought home.
When we're thinking about her delivery back home, who exactly is out there watching? Because Nancy, as I've held all along, and I think this is kind of obvious, but this is a targeted attack. They knew her. They knew who she was.
They knew her ass.
They knew her comings and goings.
They knew
and here's
her.
The thing.
Don't play.
They knew that she's vulnerable. And so they're going to spring whenever they see that her guard is down. We're talking about kind of late at night. You know, she's barely ambulatory. She's worn out. She's been with her family at this point in time. They know she's going to turn in for bed, Nancy. It's been a long day, right? And so they're observing, they're waiting, they're watching. Now, what are they waiting for exactly? Because, you know, that's a bigger question, thinking about, you know, why out of all the people in the world would they want to go after this poor woman? Well, I mean, I have my own thoughts about that relative to they know who her daughter is. I think everybody's going to know that's involved in this. And so they've targeted her, right? And so they're going to wait until they can spring their trap. And the question is, where did they put their vehicle to transport her off?
There you go.
And back to what Brian had said, this idea of going through all of this.
Guys, wherever the damn car was, the car in order to transport her away from the house, it could not be that far. Okay? And Nancy was thick. She was thick. I know she was thick because she's about the same size I am, and I'm thick than a motherfucker. Okay? There is, especially, guys, if she was unconscious, you can't be carrying that kind of dead weight all the way to a damn Kia, whatever the hell, whatever kind of getaway car it was. It had to be close in proximity to where the damn house was, because Nancy was in the house, I guess, waiting for at least one of them to come back. I'm sure they did not leave her there by herself, bleeding or whatever the case may be. And guys, I am praying that they didn't get too physical with that lady. The lady was 84 freaking years old. I hope they didn't get too physical with her. But guys, I really do believe, and I hate to say this, and I hate to put this out in the atmosphere, but I really don't think that Nancy Guthrie is still with us, sadly enough.
Videography is going to be key to try to determine where another vehicle may have come and introduced themselves or itself into this equation, this visual equation that we're trying to figure out at this point in time. That's going to be critical. And look, I don't know who's looking at the video. I'm assuming it's probably the feds. I hope it's the feds, and that they're going to try to break this down as into the base elements, because nothing, and I mean nothing, Nancy, at this point in time is off the table. Everybody has to be considered. And, you know, as my grandpa used to say, let the hide come with the hair. I don't care who it impacts relative to the evidence, relative to a vehicle. Check it out. Go out there, look for these individuals, put them up against the wall.
See, I totally agree with LaToya. Okay, I totally agree with Deanna. Okay, the whole thing is, guys, they knew that that camera had to be off, because that camera would have caught the damn car, the getaway car. That camera would have caught their asses on tape. Okay, and the reason why I'm believing it's an inside job, because that person knew that the cameras didn't work anyway. The only one who did not know that the cameras didn't work was the fool at the front door that was messing around trying to get the Nest Cam off of the damn door. That was the only one who didn't realize that the cameras wasn't working. Okay, the other fool probably came on the front and said, hey, dude, that's not working. Let's go in the back where the door is open. Let's get her. Okay, that's probably why the person, that's why it was two people at the front, because one of them didn't know that that camera did not work. She did not have a Nest Cam subscription. And I've said this in other videos. Okay, the FBI wind up through the cloud, or however the hell they did it, they wind up getting some video footage of these two fools at the front door. My whole thing is that some rich people shit? Okay, because if my broke ass was missing, if my mama was missing, would they do the same thing for her? Okay, because that just amazes me that even though she did not have a subscription, somehow you guys wind up getting some video footage. That's weird to me.
Talk to them about it. Let's find out, why were you there during that night? I'm hoping that they've done it to this point. I'm hoping that they're continuing to do it, because you have to press in any investigation. As we well know, time is a precious commodity.
Exactly.
So tonight, in addition to a review of video footage from not only that Uber driver, but from Annie Guthrie's vehicle, to determine not just what was Mrs. Guthrie wearing, what was her demeanor, did she look ill, was she concerned? Not just that, looking for the vehicle, and that is going to require a lot of enhancement of the video. God willing, the video is still there. We also learned that fresh eyes are reviewing the evidence from the feds. Not only is that video being reviewed as we go to air, we learn that Annie Guthrie herself provided the route she believes the killer used that night. Let's take a look at it. Straight out to Dave Matt, Crime Stories investigative reporter. What is this? Where did it come from?
Before we get to the route, they said that these guys who broke into the house drug Nancy out of her bed, and that all she was wearing was pajamas, and they said no shoes whatsoever. Okay, so she was not fully clothed other than the pajamas. Okay, and then all of a sudden now they come up with one hair that don't have a root on it. And then we supposed to wait for this genealogist to come and tell us who freak this is. Guys, this is going to take quite a long time. This shit, us finding out who did this shit ain't gonna happen overnight. It's not gonna happen overnight.
This actually, Annie Guthrie was in a group chat online with neighbors and sent this map to them at the beginning of the investigation, Nancy. This was put out there early, hoping that somebody might have seen something or had video along, you see the blue map line there, that somebody along that way could look through their video. I mean, this is really an incredible source of information from Annie Guthrie coming up with what she thought was the plan, or the route rather, taken by on the way home. So they're looking for anyone along this pathway, you know, that might have seen something. It's curious when you really get into this that she's marked different addresses along the way. it's just an incredible piece of information that Annie Guthrie offered to this group with neighbors talking about the area.
You know, if this route is real, if this is the route the killer took, straight out to you, Cheryl McCollum joining us, crime scene investigator of many years.
Okay, so Deanna sits here and she says people think that there was a car in the driveway, and I was one of them, but when you see it in color, there's no car. And I thought I thought Nancy's car was in the driveway, but closest to where that little in-law suite was. I didn't think it was right in the roundabout. Okay. And then Latoya says that hair could come off a package. And that's absolutely true. And the main reason why it could have came off a package, because guess what? All of them damn YouTubers out there, the media, this, that, and the third, guys, they was having all those gifts delivered there. The freaking pizza was delivered there. Guys, we don't know where the hell this hair came from. Okay? And then they had them 16 gloves that they found up in there. Guys, they were contaminating the crime scene. So we might be sitting here for months waiting for this hair that doesn't have a bulb on it. Okay? It doesn't have a root. Okay? To come to find out, it might belong to somebody who was out there standing in the damn driveway who ain't had no business standing in the driveway. Okay? Guys, I'm not going to say no names, but we had some criminals standing in the damn driveway. Okay, how do we know that they didn't have anything to do with the kidnapping of Nancy Guthrie? Just for some views, if you know what I mean.
Author of a brand new book and star of Zone 7. Okay, what do we do with it? This is the route that Annie Guthrie is allegedly convinced the killer used. It's full of evidence.
Nancy, when you're looking at this map and you see all the places, the nail salon, I mean, you've got tons of businesses, you've got residential areas. I would not, number one, I would not limit my investigation to this map, but I would certainly go through it based on what her daughter believes could be a route. We are over 80 days into this thing, and we don't have a legitimate video of a vehicle. You've got to ask yourself why. How is that possible with all of these intersections that we know have cameras, the gas stations, the churches, the businesses? How do we not have a vehicle? Well, Nancy, as you know,
Okay, let me get you right the freak now. Guys, I've been on here almost 2 hours. Okay, and I got 21 likes. Guys, let's get these likes up. Okay, because this helps with the algorithm. I greatly appreciate it. Let's get the likes up. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and push that doggone notification button. The whole thing in a nutshell, they sitting up here. This is weird. They sitting up here listening to what the oldest daughter of Nancy Guthrie is saying about an escape route. Okay, and she has been, guys, everybody was sort of kind of thinking that her and her husband might have been involved in the disappearance and the kidnapping of the mama. So this is kind of comical that they are listening to her. How in thy hell would she know the escape route? Okay, or sitting up here alluding to the fact that she knows the escape route. That is weird.
I was out there, and here's what I can tell you. At any given point almost, you could take a hard right or a hard left and cut through little parts of the desert. It's vast. It's open. You don't have to go through that intersection if you don't want to. You can go right through parts of the land and avoid some of these places. So again, we know at 1:27, he's at the front door. We know by 2:29, the app has disconnected to her watch. We have a timetable. There's no way at this point, after 80 days, they can't pinpoint 1 mile away in that circumference and not catch him somehow. And I think with all the planning, he avoided those cameras.
You know, he avoided those cameras, Cheryl. I hear what you're saying, but it's also a non sequitur. It doesn't make sense. If he did all that camera avoidance, then how come he didn't know the camera on her front porch worked?
I don't think he cared because, again, he's not in a hurry. He knows he's completely covered. He knows there's no connection to her. They don't know who he is. She doesn't know who he is. Again, after 80 days, we don't know who he is.
Sad.
So he didn't have a jammer. Otherwise, he wouldn't be acting like he did. I don't believe he had an accomplice. If he did, why is he the only one caught on video over multiple days and multiple times?
See, the whole thing in a nutshell, guys, when you get too many people together to commit a crime, one of those motherfuckers gonna tell on each other. They gonna start telling on each other. So that is starting to make me think, since it's been so long, since it's been 3 months, maybe it wasn't 2 or 3 people. Okay, maybe it was one person. But I do not understand how this one person did this, all of this, went in the house, abducted her, got the car, put her in the car. Nobody noticed. Nothing on this cam. Everybody in the neighborhood, guys, they ain't got not one video footage of what happened to Nancy on this particular night. Because when you have more than one person involved in a crime, normally somebody gonna break down. Somebody gonna break down. And so, guys, remember, they were trying to get some ransom through Bitcoin. And evidently the Guthrie family refused to pay. But I think, and I'm not sure about the dollar amount, and guys, I'm not too familiar with Bitcoin. To me, the shit is weird. I do not understand Bitcoin to save my life. But anyway, evidently the Guthrie family, and I'm not sure about the dollar amount, they came up with $300 in Bitcoin. And as of today, I don't think that money has been moved, because the microsecond it would have moved, they would have found out who was involved. But I don't even think the person even went to go get the $300. I might be wrong, guys. I'm not really sure, but I don't think that it was a whole lot of money that the Guthrie family put up. They just wanted to see if somebody was going to move that money. Okay, and they should have put maybe a little bit more money in there to entice somebody to move that motherfucker around. But guys, $300, nobody, I don't think nobody in their right mind would try to move that money around, because they know that the popo is waiting.
Why is he the only one we see dressed the same? And the only thing that changes, on the 30th, he now has a weapon and a backpack. He came mission ready on that day. He was ready that day.
Okay, I totally agree with Rick Raj put 8440. You know what? Y'all be having some long ass names. Y'all be having some names on here. Okay, anyway, I totally agree. I believe that she has passed away too. And I hate to say this, guys. And it was senseless. This lady lived to be 84 years old. How much more time you thought she was going to have? This wasn't even necessary. This wasn't even necessary.
The days before, casing the joint, laying out his plan.
Let's look in depth at the route Annie Guthrie identified as the killer's route. Let's start with Lulu Walker Elementary School. First out to you, Brian Fitzgibbons. Take a look at that. You know they've got to have cameras. On the map is to the far left. See that? It's on the frontage. In other words, it faces the street. They have got to have cameras all over. What do you make of it?
Yeah, and this map was provided by Annie Guthrie out to the public in an effort to generate video tips, right? To identify a route and say, hey, any private residences and individuals that may have captured video, send this in right away. Now, to your point about the elementary school, we've got public locations like a school, library, and then you have private businesses along that route. Pharmacies, gas stations, things like that, that undoubtedly captured video at that time. And I think we've talked a lot about a lot of the missteps here. Getting this route information out was not one of them. This would help generate that.
And so Deanna sat up here and said that the person had a gun. Okay, yeah, she was probably afraid of that. Okay, but you had to have left her in the house to run and get the car. At what point did she, unless he knocked out of my car? Okay, and then Latoya says maybe she saw something that she shouldn't have. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure, because this is, to me, this is senseless. This is senseless that this little old lady has been missing for over 3 months, and still no real breadcrumbs as to what happened to her. Okay, no real breadcrumbs as to what happened to her. No sandwich! We don't have no sandwich, guys. Just a little bitty, guys, every time they find out something and it turns out to be nothing. This shit is weird. And you still got people flying out there, standing in the damn driveway, looking at the bushes, doing YouTube channels, just looking at the bushes, making up shit. The fact is, Nancy Guthrie is missing. Okay, and I believe that the longer that we wait, guys, I already think it, and I hate to say it, that she is no longer with us.
Those leads and help people to save that video before it expired.
Joe Scott, there is a plethora of information. Look at the elementary school. What do you see?
Cameras.
Well, I can see 4 points, or at least probably multiple, more than 4 points of where cameras could be positioned. And it's going to have a field of visual perspective. Here's the thing. When you take a look at this and these cameras, if they're working, and we've run into that before, have we not? On each corner of the building, these cameras, their field of view will be intersecting. Okay, so if you think about the vision that a camera has, as it goes out, it kind of expands, right? So each one of these points will.
Stacks, I totally agree with you. This is sad. This is sad. And I'm going to tell you what, he's talking about these damn cameras on this school might not be working either. Damn, does anything in this freaking neighborhood work? Shit. Everything is broke down like a mobile. And the main reason why this shit is not half working in this neighborhood, guys, these are $1 million homes. Millionaires are living out there. Okay? Guys, they could have easily kidnapped a millionaire out there and nobody would have ever known. Okay, so my whole thing in a nutshell, you might not have wanted just the money. You wanted the fame. You wanted the celebrity fame. Because there were a lot of people richer than Savannah Guthrie monkey behind. There was a lot of richer people out there. And Nancy wasn't the rich one. It's her damn daughter. Okay, so my whole thing is, did you want the fame or did you really want the money? Okay, so now he's sitting up here telling me it's a great possibility. Now the damn cameras don't work at the school. Okay, that's what I'm saying. And a lot of people are dogging out Sheriff Nanos. Okay, you're dogging out Sheriff Nanos. He did the best he could because, guys, nothing to this magnitude had ever happened in that whole damn neighborhood. Okay, so he did the best that he could. Him arguing with the FBI, and guys, that's weird to me. Okay, I don't understand it. The whole thing is they should have been focusing on bringing Nancy Guthrie's ass back, not arguing and talking about shit that happened in the past. Y'all should have been concentrating on getting this little old lady back to her kids.
Intersect with the other. The cool thing about this, from, let's just say, from the perspective of the school, that these things are going to be overlapping. All right, they're going to overlap, and you can catch. If you can't catch it from one, you can catch it from the other. I'm talking about the color description of the vehicle. And in addition to that, you might be able to get a hit on a license plate relative to all of this. So these fields of view, if you will, are intersecting or overlapping of one another. And this is on, obviously, a main thoroughfare here. We're talking about a school, right? So parents are coming and going, throughout the day. They're going to have a circle, that you have to pass through, drop these kids off. And nowadays, with the way schools are, security is at the top of their list. So hopefully these cameras are all functioning. Hopefully they're sensitive enough to pick up on any critical data.
I got something for you, everybody.
Well, bring it.
Green Toes North Nail Salon and Massage. Take a look to the right of the building. Right in front. Surveillance camera. Right
Probably don't work.
Front, Cheryl McCollum.
That's the first thing that I saw, Nancy, when you sent the picture. Not only is it right in the front, it would capture the parking lot and the roadway. So again, my question becomes, why don't we have the car if this is the route that he took?
There
we
you
would
go.
know the time that the app separated from the pacemaker, that the approximate time that he would be passing through there. Again, you're talking about 2 in the morning. 2:30, 3 a.m. There's not going to be that many vehicles. I don't understand how we don't already have it. My other question becomes, why?
Before she get on with that, I'm going to tell you what, guys. I work and live in 2 different places, okay? I work in California, and I live in Texas, okay? I own several mobile homes out in Texas, and I'm going to tell you what I do. You know what I do? I put a fake camera above the front door, a fake one. I put a fake camera right above the door to deter anybody who might try to break into one of my mobile homes when it is empty. That's what I do. Okay, guys, because guys, it's too expensive to get all these damn internet and all this kind of stuff. It's too damn expensive. So I know I have done this a time or two. When my mobile homes are empty, I will put a fake camera up there, and guys, it deters people. So I am thinking that's what's going on in this damn neighborhood. People are putting this fake shit up to try to deter people. Now, guys, when I used to live in Arizona, guys, because I'm retired military, when I used to live in Arizona, I'm going to tell you what, guys, besides California, that is the second biggest place where I have ever seen a lot of homeless people. I don't give a damn if you live in a rich neighborhood or not. There are a lot of homeless people in Arizona, and there are a lot of homeless people out here in California. So, guys, you have to put some fake cameras up to deter these motherfuckers from coming into your damn house. So I'm believing this is what happened. But the whole thing in a nutshell with Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood, guys, when you come into her community, you don't come in and get directly into her house. You're not standing in her driveway. Guys, she was on acres and acres of land. Okay, everybody in that whole neighborhood was on acres and acres of land. You have to walk a long distance to get to her house. And the whole thing in a nutshell, guys, it gets hot in a mofo. It gets hot there in the daytime, but at night it gets cold. Okay, so you can't win up that motherfucker. You can't win. You're going to either be really, really cold or you're going to be really, really hot up in there. So when you get there, you got to know what the hell you're doing. Okay? That's why I know the person who did this, or the people that did this wasn't their first time there. They wanted to get in and out. That's what they wanted to do. This was their first rodeo at their damn house. I don't know if it was a lawn guy, housekeeper, pool guy, post office guy, Uber driver, whatever, FedEx driver, whatever the case may be. That wasn't their first time there.
Does Annie Guthrie believe this is the route, and where does she think they were going? Those are key questions for me that I don't know the answer to yet. But again, you pass more cameras than you know every day. ATMs have cameras. Buses have cameras. I mean, you're on camera more than you think you are, but after 80-something days, we don't have this guy.
Thank you, Stacks. Thank you. And I am trying to not play no more commercial up in this. Let me fast forward this a little bit, guys. I'm sorry.
We don't have this guy.
I don't want no commercial.
Summertime.
Guys, we don't want no damn commercials. I apologize. Boom!
And I always go back to an incredible example. It's the case of Gabby Petito. Gabby missing. Nobody knows where Gabby is. Her parents are
focused. We ain't talking about Gabby.
They're frantic. They're in a panic. They can't get any cooperation from Brian Laundrie's family, who's staying quiet. They know that Gabby Petito did not come back from a cross-country trip with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie. They know she's missing. He's in her Ford Transit. Where is she? If it had not been for civilian sleuths that spot her Ford Transit in the middle of dispersed camping, you know what that is? We're campers. It means there are no lights, there are no electric hookups, there's no porta potties, there's nothing. You're out there with the antelopes, you and the crickets. If they had not spotted her Ford Transit and said, hey, that looks like Gabby Petito's Transit,
shit.
And they call police, and not far from there, what was left of her remains were found.
Sad.
Why is it law enforcement so often discounts civilian tips like what Annie has provided?
Yeah, there's an inherent bias with a number of investigators based on their experience. They look at somebody from the public, is from a family member, and they see a lot of emotion there, and they immediately discount what's being said. Now, I'll call back right to the beginning of this investigation. Annie Guthrie was in the house telling investigators there is no chance that that Mrs. Guthrie wandered off, that she's unable to walk more than 50 yards on her own power. And they were still, in the immediate sense, treating it as an elderly person wandering off. So, hey, this comes to missed opportunities, right? No investigator, no investigative agency is going to be perfect. However, there have been some big missteps here.
Now, they said that Nancy Guthrie was sharp in the motherfucker. They said she was intact and there was no way that she could have wandered off. Now remember, guys, when she first went missing, they was picking up those manholes, and they was taking those sticks and jabbing and this, that, and the third, guys. They had the cadaver dogs. And guys, they were thinking, guys, it was just weird. It was just weird. And it came up nothing. And then they was on the roof. There was a camera on the roof. It was very obvious that she just got her roof repainted. Okay, because guys, it gets, like I said, it gets hot in the mofo out there. Okay, so you have to put that little, I don't know, you have to kind of paint the roof to keep the inside of the house cool. So I don't know, did the person who just refinished the roof, did they have something to do with the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie? I'm not really sure. But I'm going to tell you what, guys, if it was not Tommaso, guys, I am believing that it's going to be somebody young, somebody under 30, maybe 35 years old, somebody maybe on the short bus. You know what I'm saying? I am thinking it might, because why would you sit up there and send an apology letter to TMZ and say, oh my God, she's, yeah, and I'm paraphrasing. Okay, she's unalive. She's gone on to be with God. I did not realize she was sick as she was. She was 84 years old. What the freak did you think? That you was going to stress her the hell out and she was just going to bounce back? That's not how old people operate. Okay, it was too much on her little heart. Okay, it was too much.
With not listening to the family and, might I say, some of these tips from the public.
Cheryl McCollum, you are a crime scene investigator. In my cases that I prosecuted, those are the first people I listen to. It's the family and what input they have in a case. Here, for whatever reason, you're wondering why. You know what? At some point, Cheryl, why ask why? Just accept that Annie Guthrie believes this is the...
They're not listening to Annie Guthrie. They're not listening to Annie Guthrie because they suspected her and her husband in the beginning. Why they gonna listen to her ass now? Okay? As far as we know, she be trying to get us off the beaten path. That's why they not listening to Annie Guthrie showing us this escape route. That's why they not listening to her. Now, I personally don't believe that Annie had anything to do with it, because it seems like Annie was distraught when her brother, and Savannah used to get on YouTube and used to say, oh, we want our mother back, bring her back, whatever the case. It seemed like she was distraught. Everybody said she was faking the funk. I'm not really sure, but to me, it seems like she was distraught. That's why they not listening to anything she had to say, because in the beginning, y'all suspected her and the damn husband.
Route the killer took and run with it. Why is it law enforcement is so resistant to civilian or family input?
I think in this case, you have to listen to her. Nothing else has panned out. And to me, you're at that scene, Nancy. If this was you and I standing inside that house, we don't even have to listen to Annie. You're looking over there, her eyeglasses are there, her cell phone is there, her hearing aids are there, her walker is there, her shoes are there. This woman didn't leave on her own. It's clear she did not. So if you've got her child telling you, I think this is the route, you need to check it out anyway. From her home, that driveway, you can only go left or right. Once you get to a major intersection to the left and one to the right, at that point, if you do not have that killer's car on video, then pay attention to what her daughter's telling you. You got to check it out. You have to check out all routes. You have to check out all cameras. Even if we thought that the kidnapper went to the right, I'm going to go to the houses to the left, because, again, Nancy, he cased the joint. He looked at all the homes. He looked at where he could park and hide, and then go to her house and be unseen the entire time. No neighbor, again, has produced the vehicle. We have him. He's been caught on camera more than once at the front door, but not from a neighbor.
Take a look now at Circa 79 Salon. It has just been renovated. I'm going to show you now the before shot. Before it was renovated, it was called Chantilly Tea Room, and it was transitioned into Circa 79. 9. To Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter. As we're taking a look at the Circa 79 salon, formerly Chantilly Tea Room, the fact that it was renovated is important. I'm going to get to that. You heard Cheryl McCollum say, why did Annie think this is the route? You know what? Why ask why? Again, she thinks it's the route based on what she knows. So I'm running with it. And I'm not just looking for the perp. I'm looking for his vehicle. And not just the day of the kidnapping, other days like January 11. So why do we believe, if we know, why did Annie choose this route as the likely route the killer took?
Nancy, we don't know specifically why, but this was Annie Guthrie in the first days of the investigation, and she's trying to help. Her mom is missing, you know, She's in a panic mode of helping. She's not getting any feedback, leading her to believe that she's getting the result she's after, which is, where's my mom? So she actually volunteers. Here's where, because, you know, she lives in the area. Annie Guthrie and Tommaso don't live that far from Nancy Guthrie's home. And so she knows all of the routes. She knows the roads that people go and drive on. And that's why she put it out there. And I agree with you. More than just a joke.
Yeah, I believe, Deanna, you hit it right on the head. I don't believe that Annie got anything to do with this. I really don't. Now, her husband, on the other hand, I'm not really sure about that, guys. I'm bouncing back and forth. But I do, and I'm going to stick with this. If it's not Tommaso, trust and believe it's going to be somebody young, somebody like younger than 35. Okay? I believe somebody younger than 35 because evidently this person has already sent TMZ into, why you keep fucking around with TMZ? Okay, this person has already sent another note to TMZ, and evidently they were saying that they, and I'm paraphrasing like I'm all about, they sat up there and said that they apologized for kidnapping her, and that they did not realize she was as sick as she was. Okay, that got young person written all over it. Okay, because a person who's got a little age on them be like, oh, hell no. Kidnap an 84-year-old lady? No, we got to come up with another plan. No. 84? Can't walk, got a pacemaker on the blood thinner, on the diuretic. Walk with a cane. No, what's plan B? Okay? And it's only going to be me and you doing it. She 5'4", 150 pounds. No, that's too much. That's too much. Okay? And that's what makes me think that this is a young person who really didn't care about the money. They just wanted the fame. They just wanted the fame. Now, I don't know when they're going to get the fame. And now people going around saying there's a great possibility that the person that kidnapped her could be dead. Okay? Which is weird to me. Because if you got Nancy, if you holding her in captivity and you got her strapped down to a chair or whatever the hell it may be, and then your ass go and catch a fucking heart attack. Then she's there, chained to the chair or the couch or whatever the hell. Guys, she probably is no longer with us if that's happened. If her captive, the person who's holding her in captivity, if they sat there and had a damn heart attack and she's chained to the chair, God, you talking about a slow death. That is weird.
A citizen, you know, calling this in. This is the daughter of the victim, and she's putting this out there as a possibility. Now, this is a very specific getaway route, and it's easy to follow right there on the map. So when you get down to the nitty gritty, Nancy, this was Annie trying to help.
Okay. Bottom line, there was a lot of words to say, we don't know. But thank you anyway. Let's take a look at Chantilly Tea Room. That is what Circa 79 was before it was remodeled. It's a big structure over 3,000 feet. But what's interesting to me, it was remodeled by retail specialists with Cushman & Wakefield. Why do I care? Because if it was remodeled recently, Cheryl McCollum, that tells me they've got surveillance cameras.
That doesn't mean that.
Possibly. What?
That doesn't mean that it was remodeled. They got surveillance cameras. Guys, that place is right down the street from where Nancy Guthrie lives. She had the cheapest home in the neighborhood. Her house is worth $1.1 million. They said it was the cheapest and the smallest house in the neighborhood. These people are millionaires. You don't need no cameras out there Just because it was remodeled, you think it's going to have a camera. It might have a fake camera, just like I do with my mobile homes that I own. I put them up a fake camera out there all day long. So that means it was remodeled. Yeah, you would hope it would have a camera. But guys, this is not the kind of breaking and entering type of establishments that, these aren't regular people. These people are this is $1 million neighborhood. So just because it was reconstructed or whatever the case may be, doesn't mean that the camera is up to par.
What concerns me with any remodel is the cameras are going to be, taken apart. They're going to be rewired. So for a period of time, they won't have any. And it's probably the last thing they're going to put back together. So again, I'm not asking why, the reason that you're thinking. I'm asking why for the investigation. If this pans out and we know the direction they're going, then we know where they're probably taking her. Now we know where better to search. Again, Nancy, I have not seen a legitimate search, meaning let's get some volunteers out there. Let's go shoulder to shoulder. Let's pan out. Let's get some horses and ATVs. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen a call for a search from Savannah Guthrie. She could have gotten 5,000 volunteers out there. It hasn't happened. So either law enforcement doesn't think this has anything to do with an escape route, or they're ignoring vital evidence. But I'll tell you, I wish we had the 911 call. I wish we had the first thing they said. I think that would help us determine, who did they suspect first? What did they say first? I think that would help us.
Joe Scott Morgan, jump in.
Yeah, so if we look at these 2 points, Green Toes and the Circa 79 Salon, as it's entitled on the map, guess what you have to do there, Nancy? You have to slow down because this intersects with a major thoroughfare. The critical point is that if there is a stoplight, if there is at those 2 points alone, a stoplight, a stop sign, the individual driving this route, driving that vehicle will have at least had to do a pause. Some people refer to it as a California roll, right? Where you come in, you don't completely stop, and then you go ahead and go. It's not like this vehicle at those 2 spots would blast past it. Past these locations. We go back to Coburger, we think about that 20-mile circle or whatever it was where they're catching these glimpses. That ain't happening here. That individual would have to slow that vehicle down to the point where you can actually capture something. And if there are any more of these kind of intersections along the way, those are going to be critical points, all right, of where the individual would have had to slow down enough where you can actually get a capture off of these cameras. I think that those are going to be very important points. I'm glad that you pointed these out because, look, I mean, you got nothing else to go on. If you look at the elementary school, yeah, it makes kind of a dogleg turn there, but did that stop there, or did they just kind of roll past it? These other places.
Okay, guys, let's look at some of these comments here because one of you mentioned about a guy being deleted. Okay, guys, I'm not really sure who got deleted. Okay, there was some speculation that the person who kidnapped Nancy Guthrie might have been dead. My whole thing is, when did he die? What did he die from? Is that what you're talking about? I think, who wrote that? I cannot find that message. Anyway, and people are still talking about on here about Tommaso, and there's a great possibility that Tommaso might have been involved. Okay, and then guys, they were talking about Tommaso's band member, Dominique. Whatever happened to him? The whole thing in a nutshell, guys, this really doesn't make any sense. That was Latoya. What about Latoya said, what about the guy who deleted himself, guys? I'm not really sure if there's any truth to that or whatever the case may be. I'm not really sure how he deleted himself. I don't know anything about that, guys. We don't sure if that's true or not. But the whole thing in a nutshell, this is sad, and we don't know why this had to happen. And also, Latoya said that there was a lot of rich people out there. It is. There's a lot of rich people out in Arizona, guys. And I'm going to tell you this quick story. It ain't got nothing to do with the case. So if you want to leave your monkey behind. But I'm going to tell the damn story anyway. Anyway, guys. I had a friend out there in Arizona, guys. She used to brag all the time. Okay. And then she said, Kelly. And guys, matter of fact, she lived in, her family lived in Scottsdale. She said, Kelly, come meet me over my family's house in Scottsdale. I said, okay. When I got to the house, it was the smallest house in the neighborhood. Now, the other houses were pretty big. but it was small. It almost looked like a damn garage. Okay. When I went into the house, okay, and I was looking at her sideways. Yeah, your family got money, but y'all got the smallest house. Guys, I'm glad I didn't verbalize it. When I got into the damn house dropped off 3 mofo stories down a freaking mountain. So in the beginning, it looked like a freaking garage. But when you got in the house, the motherfucker dropped off 3 stories. The motherfucker was off the chain. So I'm glad I didn't mention anything. Okay. And then as I was leaving, guess what? Her uncle was expecting a car to be delivered. I was just thinking a regular ass car, whatever the case may be. This motherfucker had a Lamborghini delivered to the home. Okay, so it's some rich people out there. Rich people. So I was just standing there with my damn mouth open as this Lamborghini. They took this Lamborghini off of this damn truck. And was guys, come on. If I ever get a chance to own a Lamborghini, I'm going to be right there at the store to pick my shit up because I can't wait. I won't be able to wait. There are some very rich people out there in Arizona. And this is the reason why Nancy Guthrie was a sitting duck, because of the neighborhood she lived in. Nothing to this magnitude had ever happened in that neighborhood before. She bought that house in 1975 for $85,000. It's worth $1.1 million. Okay, it's worth that. There are millionaires in her freaking neighborhood. They say she got the smallest house, she got the cheapest house in the whole neighborhood. It has since appreciated, and I'm sure Savannah done helped her upgrade that mofo. Okay, but nothing in that neighborhood had ever happened before. That's why she was out there. No street lights, nowhere to be found. 3,777 square feet. Nothing like this had ever happened in that neighborhood. She was a sitting duck, and when that damn dog died of cancer, and guys, I believe somebody said, this is our time to stretch. I believe that's what happened.
You've got intersections with a major thoroughfare. They're going to have to slow at least. They're just thinking about their own preservation. They don't want to get T-boned as they're pulling out there. It's just human nature. They're going to have to slow down. That could be a critical point, or critical points right there.
And amazingly tonight, Dave Mack has done his own investigation into the route that Amy Guthrie provided and learned something very, very probative. What about it, Dave?
Nancy, remember we had the car that was seen on a Ring camera that was about 2.5 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home, and it was on a back road away from the scene. It was dismissed by the police or the sheriff's department. When I laid that map over, the route on that road does not show up on Annie Guthrie's route for getting away from the scene. But you lay it over and it's right in there. It fits as a possible route that could have been used as the escape route. It's right in the same general area.
And that may answer Cheryl's question as to why Annie came up with this route. That video from our friends at Fox News.
All right, guys, we ain't doing no commercials.
You're on cross-examination.
We ain't doing no commercials, guys.
% off your cat's first.
I'm sorry.
More intelligent, more scheming.
Sorry about the commercials.
Who actually carries it out. Because one of the prime reasons for eliminating a person other than financial is that they know something.
That is our friend, Dr. Gary Bricado. He's an esteemed psychologist. And that is him from a hit on TMZ, our friend's Harvey Levin. As much as I think of Bricado, I'm not buying that she was kidnapped or killed somewhere else and the killer went back to the scene to put her blood on the porch and open and shut the doors. I mean, we have her heart monitor, her pacemaker, placing her there that night. So, Joe Scott Morgan, what do you make of this theory that there's some motive we don't understand, that nobody understands, that she was taken and killed elsewhere, and the perp goes back to the scene to stage, including putting her blood on the front porch?
So,
okay. Let me understand this. Is he saying that they kidnapped her, took her to wherever the hell they were going to take her, and then came back? Okay. Talk about not making no sense. That makes no sense whatsoever. Okay, does that, guys, put it in the comments, guys. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe, and push that doggone notification button. Does that make any sense to anybody? Stacks, tell me what you think. Does that make any sense? You kidnap her, take her wherever the hell you're gonna take her, and then you come back and stage it, okay? And then you get some of her blood, but you put it in a little baggie, and then you bring the baggie back and you sprinkle it on the front porch. Weird. That don't make no sense.
The killer, just so that I understand this, actually had the foreknowledge to show up and not just stage the blood, but also deposit expirate there. And what I mean by that is you've got blood that is being blown out of the nose and the mouth. And I'm going to stand by that. There's a close up. You look at the top right, that cluster. Yeah, right in there. In that tile space right there, you see those big depositions that are like the size of a nickel, perhaps. Those tiny depositions. Nancy, the only way you get that, I mean, I guess the person could have showed up with a turkey baster, maybe drawn up some blood and kind of blasted it out, and then allowed gravitational blood droplets, which would be the nickel size stuff, but those tiny little droplets. And let me set the record straight. That's not aspirate, it's expirate. So what that means is that the blood is actually...
You did hear yourself, right? The killer came back with a turkey baster full of Nancy Guthrie's blood. Okay.
Oh, shit.
I don't usually cut your mic, but I am sorely tempted. Move forward.
Nancy I almost said Nancy Nancy Grace is ignorant like a motherfucker. She is ignorant. Do you hear her telling them to cut his shit off, guys? She don't want to hit a turkey baster. That shit is weird. That makes absolutely no sense. Guys, are we having Thanksgiving dinner or is this a motherfucking crime scene? This is weird. Now, Deanna sat up here and said that evidently she's talking about Nancy Grace. Nancy Guthrie. I'm sorry. I'm getting these Nancys mixed up like a mofo. She sat up here and said, thank you, Deanna, for participating. She said that Nancy Guthrie was very active on Facebook and she was probably stalked. She was on there telling her business. She was probably stalked. And remember, she was already on the Today Show. Okay, she was on the Today Show in her house, making up her bed, probably running her mouth on the Today Show. And guys, I'm not a Today Show looking person. I don't watch that. However, I do remember this day. It was around the holidays some years ago, and Nancy Guthrie actually went on the Today Show where her daughter works, and guys, she was making some chicken, looks good than a motherfucker, and it had some sides on there, and I do remember that. So I am thinking that, yes, Deanna, you are absolutely right. She was probably on Facebook running her mouth, telling everybody, oh, I'm going to be on the Today Show, and then she probably posted that on Facebook, and then, guys, some way she started telling people that she lived by herself. She just got a dog. She taking pictures with her dog. Guys, I got 3 dogs. I take pictures with my dogs, too. Okay, and people start piecing that shit together, looking, oh, she's only taking pictures with her dog. She ain't got no husband. You know what I'm saying? People got a lot of motherfucking spare time on their hand. Now this motherfucker gonna sit up here and talk about a turkey baster. Okay, guys, let's check this out.
No, listen, it's implausible. The physical science, just looking at those images, by the way, that were generated from a member of the media that walked up and took those pictures because the scene was unsecured. That deposition right there flies in the face of that, Nancy. It really does. And I cannot imagine that whoever this rocket scientist is that did this had the foreknowledge to come in and set this up and stage it up.
This is weird.
Because that expert up there,
you know,
that's
Joe
not
Scott,
aspirate,
while I've got you,
she ruled in a
lot
motherfucker.
of viewers have questioned the fact that, these photos are from our friends at Fox News, by the way. A lot of viewers have questioned foliage being on top of the blood, which could have happened in any number of ways. But could you weigh in on that before I go to our other guests?
Yeah, because you have to, it's just basic physical science. If you have the blood deposition right there, how in the world did the greenery get on top of the blood? I've actually heard people say, well, there's evidence that there are bits of foliage with blood deposited on top of it. So I think that that's going to be a big question here. And again, hey, Nancy, guess what? We don't know because the scene wasn't secured. These images that you're seeing do not come from the police. All right. You've had what? Pizza delivery guys, pool
Both.
boys.
Okay,
Both.
you're going down the garden path. You're way out in the weeds. Let's get it back.
She is rude as a motherfucker. I don't know why people continue on going on her damn show. She rude, but I love her shit. She is rude than a motherfucker. Okay? But for you to sit up here and think that somebody took her, got some blood from her, and then bought her ass back. Okay? Oh, no, bought the blood back. In turkey based or plastic bag, whatever the case may be. That is weird. No, I don't believe that shit happened.
In the middle of the road, you don't think that theory works, right? That's what I'm talking about.
No, I don't think it works. Absolutely not.
I mean, you had to really do a backflip and involve a turkey baster to make that theory work. Okay, Cheryl McCollum, what about it? And, you know, Bricado, really smart guy. I don't know where this theory came from. What do you make of it?
If you look at the 90-degree angle drops, some of them are clear in the center or have a half moon. The only way that happens is if they have air. That comes from the nose or the mouth, period. You could not take blood, transfer it, drop it, and have it say, have that same conclusion. How does the foliage get on top of the blood? That's easy. We see him on video placing that flower clump on top of
That's true.
the camera. At some point, they fell off. That's easy.
Okay, to you, Brian Fitzgibbons, you have gone all around the world finding missing people. I've got a lot of questions for you about Sonora, Mexico, but if you could weigh in on what Bricado said, and again, he is no idiot, but this theory that she was kidnapped or killed in another location and the perp came back to stage the scene to make us think
That's weird.
it happened there, it flies in the face of all the physical evidence.
Exactly.
You've got to follow the physical evidence, like the blood, like the pacemaker.
I'll defer to Cheryl McCollum and Joe Scott on the forensic side, but what I'll add is someone like Dr. Bricado provides such supporting fires for someone like me in the field. And I'll explain this. An investigator can get locked into a certain hypothesis, a certain theory, right? And where you bring in somebody like Dr. Bricado to present these potential hypotheses, yeah, maybe the forensic evidence shoots it down quickly. Maybe it takes a day or two to shoot it down, but it gives another angle for the investigation to look at. And sometimes that creates a breakthrough, right? Because I can say for myself.
All right, guys, let's get these likes up. Okay, guys, the likes will help with the algorithm, guys. Make sure to go ahead, like, comment, share, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. But this whole damn turkey baster story is weird. And as you can see, Nancy Grace was out to cut that motherfucker off. She was like, this shit is weird. She said, you're normally smart. You see, Nancy Grace could get ignorant than a motherfucker, but I do not believe this whole turkey baster story and that they kidnapped her, took her to somewhere else, and then took her blood and then brought the shit back. Guys, too many opportunities to get your motherfucking ass caught. Okay, so no, I do not believe this story. I believe that everything happened at the same time. Okay, but what I am saying is, I don't think they got too physical. I'm praying that they did not get too physical with Nancy. I'm believing that the only reason, and guys, we don't know where this blood was coming from. They say there's a possibility it was coming from her mouth because they believe it was like coughed up. Okay, I personally believe it was coming from her nose because she was on the blood thinner. That's what I think. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Going to be wrong again. Okay, because she's on the blood thinner, guys, she was stressed the fuck out. You got these two people in her motherfucking house. Okay, in her house, stressing her fuck out. I believe her nose got engorged, the blood vessels broke, and she had a nosebleed. Maybe she coughed or sneezed or whatever the fuck case it may be. That's how air got into the blood and it got on the front porch. Because evidently they saying even though the perpetrators came from the back door, somewhere, I don't know, why wouldn't you just go back out of the back door? That doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, they said that the perpetrators took her out the front. And they said it was low velocity blood on the porch, meaning that Nancy Guthrie was probably at a very low level. I don't know if they carried her out or drug her out or whatever the case may be, but I'm praying for God. They didn't get too physical with this lady. 84 years old, you're going to get physical with an 84-year-old lady who could barely walk. I believe the reason why It was low velocity blood, and she was low to the ground. Maybe she passed the fuck out. I don't know. Maybe she got knocked the fuck out. I don't know. But that is the reason. And I'm praying that they didn't hurt that lady. But as you can see now, guys, she's been missing for 3 months and still missing. And we ain't got no major clues. We're waiting for some genealogy, okay, on a little hair. God only knows where that damn hair came from. And it doesn't have a root. Guys, when is this shit gonna get solved?
Sometimes I'll get locked into one hypothesis or theory versus another. And someone like that presenting, hey, there's someone controlling this from afar, 1 foot soldier on the ground executing the abduction, right? These are things that might get missed.
And we know tonight that, quote, fresh eyes have been brought in, Fitzgibbons, to take a fresh look at the evidence all over again. And I got to tell you something, Fitz. I'd be stuck in my office at the district attorney's office in downtown Atlanta, and it'd be 8 o'clock at night. I'd be looking at the same thing over and over. And then my investigator, Ernest, we were together over 10 years, only had one fight in 10 years over that POS O.J. Simpson.
Oh,
that
Lord.
said,
Not O.J.
He'd walk in, say, why are you still here? And I'd tell him, and he would say just out of the blue, well, what about X? He was coming from a different point of view, something fresh. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's what's happening tonight, we're told.
100%. And that's where, you know, a talented individual like Dr. Mercado, hey, you know, Babe Ruth struck out a number of times at home plate.
Oh, hell.
Right? He also hit a lot of home runs.
Okay, we went from Babe Ruth to damn O.J. Simpson, guys, to the little petite girl. This shit is weird. Stay focused. Okay, stay focused. Anyway, Latoya says he wasn't saying about the... Latoya, are you saying that he wasn't saying he thought that about the turkey baster? I'm not really sure what you mean by that. But anyway, guys, this shit is weird. This shit is weird. There is no way that you could tell me that some people came into her house, kidnapped her, took her to another location, came back with her blood, poured it on the porch. Okay? That's like on idiot mode. That is on idiot mode. I do not believe that.
So, you know, that's where that experience and brain power comes into play in investigation.
And tonight to Dave Mack, apparently Sheriff Nanos, the sheriff in Pima County, is in, quote, uncharted career territory.
Here we go.
A 10-day deadline has run out. He's in hot water yet
What'd
again.
he do?
Dave Mack, is
What'd
this
he do?
anything like when you get a skunk at a softball game when the other side just doesn't show up? In other words, doesn't sufficiently hand in the filing, so the other side wins?
A lot like that, Nancy. In reality, Nanos was given 10 days to turn in.
Stacks, don't be laughing at me, Stacks. Does this shit make any sense to you, Stacks? Please share with me what you think, Stacks. She was abducted out of her house, driven to another location, and according to him, if this is what he's saying, the location got to be a nice little distance. Okay? I'm thinking, guys, shit, maybe she was at a neighbor's house. Maybe they kept her at a neighbor's house and then drove her somewhere else later on. Okay, because those cadaver dogs couldn't come up with shit. But Stacks, do you believe anybody? Do y'all believe that she was taken and then the motherfucker come back with a baggie or damn, I don't know, turkey baster full of her blood and then came and poured it on the porch? Too many opportunities to get caught. In my opinion, guys, go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, guys, and push that damn notification button. Guys, there's too many opportunities to get caught up in that camp. That doesn't make any sense to me.
In a response to the questions the council had. And what he did was he basically sat down with his lawyer and wrote up excuses for things, but it wasn't under oath. So he turned in basically an undocumented list of excuses for his behavior and the things that he had said, but not under oath. And now the council's having to determine moving forward with his entire future. We told him to do this, but he did that instead. So they're having to make a decision on whether or not they actually pull him back in, put him under oath, and go through this whole process all over again to discuss his previous accusations of lying and misusing his office during an election year.
Cheryl McCollum, don't you know that if they can get rid of him on a technicality, in other words, he didn't properly fill out
Nanos.
these forms, he'll get the boot. Right. He'll be taking the pat and turner, pat the street and turn the corner. Bye.
And Nancy, that is only going to serve to hurt this investigation. Somebody would have to come in and they would have to start all over, go through every single thing. That would hamper the investigation, sadly. But let me tell you something. I don't think any of us on this panel has had all the confidence in the world in this sheriff. Statements like, your guess is as good as mine. When he says things like, oh, there's thousands of vehicles at that time of day. We all know that's not possible. You know, he is the one that said, oh, I believe she's still alive. Again, I don't think there's an expert out there that believes Nancy Guthrie is still alive.
That's sad.
Nobody's
sad.
Being held somewhere. So he's flip-flopped. He's given bad information. He's contradicted himself. There's not a lot of, trust in what he's doing. But anybody would hate to see all of this happening now. I feel for the family. The Guthrie family is not getting what they deserve in this investigation, period.
Oh, goodness, no. But to you, Joe Scott Morgan, I don't know that I agree if it would be such a bad thing for Nanos to be replaced, even though it is midstream.
I don't think that it would be, but we have to look at this from let's take the 30,000-foot view on this, Nancy, and you know this better than anybody. What's this going to bode for the future of the investigation, and for if they hook somebody up on this, what's it going to bode for that prosecution, perhaps? You know that the attorneys will have a field day.
The whole thing with Nanos. And I've said this before. I believe he did a halfway decent job. But some of y'all mofos done lost y'all mind when he went to that game. You went to that game. He went to that game. And some of y'all lost your mind. He had 400 other employees that took his damn place while he went to the game. Is he supposed to change his whole life just because a celebrity mama is missing? Okay? No, he's not supposed to do that. Okay, he had 400 other motherfuckers who could sit there and take his damn place, and I think that's what happened. Okay, my whole thing is I do not like how he did not shut down the whole damn crime scene. He had motherfuckers up in there, all up in the damn driveway, getting pizzas, sodas, potato chips, gifts delivered to Nancy Guthrie's home. That was disrespectful like a motherfucker. That was disrespectful. Okay, I believe he could have did a better job with that. And then, guys, I don't know, him and the FBI, they started arguing, whatever the case may be. He wanted to use his lab, and then the FBI wanted to use another lab, whatever. Guys, all this motherfucking arguing, guys, that is not the reason why you guys are out there. You're out there to find Nancy, not to sit up there and argue about shit y'all done went through in the past. Okay, that's my only problem that I have with Nanos. Okay, that's my only problem. There's a lot of reasons why Nancy Guthrie is not back with us today, and Sheriff Nanos is one of it. One of the reasons, along with that damn ransom, that low ass. I keep saying that, guys, gonna sound like a broken record. Okay, that damn ransom was set. I mean, not the ransom. The reward was set to mofo low. How can you sit up here and ask or present somebody with $2,500 reward, and the damn people who got your mama want $1 million, okay, in ransom? Okay, that shit is not adding up, okay, especially when everybody knows that you're worth $40 million. For you to let people donate money, and then initially you came up with 2,500, it increased to 50,000, increased to 100, and 200,000. Then your family stepped in and talked about the $1 million. Then you start getting some tips. Okay, that shit does not add up. There's a couple of reasons why Nancy is not with us, and that damn money is one of them. Okay, soon as they presented with the $1 million, and I understand, guys, okay, we need to see proof of life. Yeah, if that was my mama, I need to see proof of life. And I ain't talking about no still picture with my mama holding up a sign talking about this is today's date. No, I need to see some video footage of my mama responding back to me.